we can expect, according to weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
Highs only near minus 25 for this afternoon, and we hang on to a wind chill near minus 30 through the day. We fall to lows near minus 30 again tonight, and a wind chill in the minus 40s.
She says those are dangerous numbers that mean frostbite in minutes. As for the city of Ottawa, if you see someone out in the cold or you need an indoor warming center, contact 311. And OC Transpo working overtime to make sure light rail runs smoothly. They ran the heat overnight. There's additional salting being done on the platforms. There's staff on site, while they say you can expect slower speeds on the trains. Chris Curry's City News.
With the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
Incredibly cold temperatures today. We will hang on to this extreme cold warning through the day and night, and even for part of tomorrow as well. It's the second part of Saturday where temperatures start to stabilize, but we are hanging on to a wind chill in the minus 30s and minus 40s throughout the day and night, and then again early Saturday. The winds are also quite gusty. We will be mainly sunny for the day. Overnight lows tonight near minus 31. The guaranteed high reach this morning minus 16.
City News time is 10:02. Now, the world's largest naturally frozen skating rink still hasn't opened. This as the Ottawa Winter Festival gets underway, putting the Radio Canal Skateway on track for its latest opening date on record. The National Capital Commission says the last time the canal opened this late was on February 2nd, 2002, but skating season have generally become shorter in recent years. The NCC says until now, the weather has been too mild this winter to build safe ice. It says crews are taking advantage of cold weather this week to get the canal open. And the disappointment may be no skating yet on the Rideau Canal, but Winterlude begins today with a host of events and programs to take in. Ice carving is going on this weekend with the National Championship on Spark Street over the weekend. Jantin Van Gretken is with the Ottawa Tourism, tells City News. Jacques Cartier Park is the place to be.
Cartier Park, there's a Snowflake Kingdom, and that's the ice slides, and there's a zip line, and there's all sorts of fun family activities. The ice hog mascots always show up. Lots of things for kids, performances, and then all over town, really, there's other programming and other fun things, from a powwow at the Canadian Museum of History this weekend. There's the Canadian Culinary Championships.
And those are going on at the Shaw Centre. You can plan your Winterlude events by going to Ottawa Tourism's website. Winterlude runs for the next 3 weekends. I am Damilola Unime. For News Anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, happy Friday, everyone. Thanks so much for spending time with us here on the Sam Laprade Show. We have a very busy show for you today, and we're speaking to probably one of the busiest people in this city, and that is Mayor Mark Sutcliffe. Hello, Mayor.
Good morning, Sam. It's great to be with you this morning. I'm actually looking out at a very cold downtown Ottawa right now from the offices of Ottawa Tourism, where we're talking about some very exciting plans for the future of our city and some really cool things that could be coming to the city in the future. And yesterday there was a big announcement about Air France providing a direct route to Paris from Ottawa. So there's a lot of exciting things going on.
Oh, I love hearing about all of that, and definitely keep us in touch in terms of all of those updates as well, Mayor. We love hearing those, yeah. and you know, I can't even imagine what this last number of weeks has been for you, trying to not only become the mayor of this city, but also to put a budget together. We know that that draft budget was tabled this week. How are you feeling about it?
I feel really good about it. It's obviously it's a very challenging process, and a lot of hard work by city staff went into that, and we consulted with every member of Ottawa City Council to get their input, and we'll continue to do so over the next month until the budget is voted on March the 1st. But I'm very pleased about the fact that this budget meets many of the campaign commitments that I made last year during the election campaign, including a tax increase of 2.5% or less, including some pretty important investments that we're making in supporting the most vulnerable in our community, in fixing our roads, and in hiring more paramedics and employees at the Ottawa Police Service. So things like community safety and basic infrastructure like our roads and sidewalks, and supporting the most vulnerable in our community, particularly in the Byward market. Those were all very important priorities, and we were able to invest in those areas. We're not cutting any programs and services for the people of Ottawa, and we're keeping the tax increase very low, especially when you compare to what's happening in other cities like Toronto. So I'm very happy about all of that and looking forward to working with my colleagues on City Council to move this forward.
Mark, was it hard to do with the rate of inflation? I just think about even, fuel costs and the type of costs that have gone up over the last year or so. Was it hard to keep it at that 2.5?
It's a great question, Sam, and I know a lot of people have been asking in the community, inflation is at 6 or 7%. How can you have a tax increase of 2.5% and not be cutting anything? There's a couple of answers to that question. The first is that in addition to the tax increase of 2.5%, we have growth in the city of Ottawa of 2.2%, and so that represents properties that were not paying tax last year, and new development where there was less tax or no tax being paid in the past, and now they're paying tax because there's been some development that's happened on a piece of land or in a neighborhood or something like that. So we get additional revenue from that. So the total revenue from taxation for the city of Ottawa is actually going up by 4.7%. rather than 2.5, but property tax owners, payers are not going to feel that. They're going to pay 2.5% more. So that's closer to the overall rate of inflation. The other thing I'll say is the number we hear when we talk about inflation of 6 or 7%, that's consumer inflation, and a big driver of that is the price of food. The city of Ottawa, of course, is paying for different things than consumers are. About half of our budget is for employees, and most of our contracts with the major unions are locked in for the next couple of years at a rate that's much lower than inflation. And some of our other expenses are not going up as quickly as food prices are. So the inflation rate on the things that the city pays for, like employee salaries and other services and products that we buy, is not as high as the consumer inflation rate. And so that's why we're able to make it work.
Does it concern you, Mark, that, maybe then in a couple of years as those new contracts come up for negotiations, that there will be employees looking to catch up to the rate of inflation and maybe you're looking at a 5 or a 7% tax increase in a couple of years from now?
We'll have to see how that goes, obviously, but we are seeing forecasts from the Bank of Canada and from elsewhere that the rate of inflation is going to come down in the years ahead, in the next couple of years, maybe even as early as the end of this year. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But there are certainly a lot of pressures that we'll be facing going forward, and there will be, these budgets are going to be tight for the next couple of years. There's no question about that. And as I said on Wednesday, we're going to have to count on more support from the federal and provincial governments, and that's why I'm in regular conversations with both those governments to make sure that we are engaged with them on our priorities and the priorities of the people of Ottawa, and that we're getting the appropriate level of funding consistent with what other municipalities are getting to support things like public transit and housing and helping the most vulnerable.
Yesterday on our lunch discussion, former councillor Marianne Wilkinson joined us, and we were talking about the budget. And one of the things that she brought to our attention is really you only have discretion, according to Marianne, only have discretion over about 15% of the budget because, as you alluded to, so many of those contracts are locked in. So really, with 15% to work with, if that's the correct number, you don't really have a lot of wiggle room there anyway, Mark.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact number is, but obviously there are a lot of things that we are committed to no matter what. We have services that we provide to the public that are funded by the provincial government, and those, that money is flowing through the city of Ottawa to be delivered to the community, but it's not something that we can change a great deal. We have employees that we hire to deliver services to the people of Ottawa, and there are a lot of fixed costs. And so that's always the case with a budget like this, is that we have control over a small portion of it in order to make changes, but we are making some meaningful and substantial changes in how we're doing things at the city, and we're also going to continue to work very hard going forward. We've established a process now where we can, where we're going to review over the next couple of years all of the programs that the city delivers and see where we can improve efficiency and where we can potentially unlock some savings so that we can invest more money in the areas of growing need. There are, as I mentioned, some really important priorities that we face as a community, including building more homes, and in particular more affordable homes, and helping the homeless, and addressing substance use disorder and mental illness in our community. So there are some areas where we definitely need to invest as a community, and we're going to find the best way to do that.
On this chilly day, Mayor Sutcliffe, can we talk a little about snow? I know your email is probably blown up over the last little bit about those snow banks and having that removal done. And then on the flip side of it, I'm living now in the Richmond area, and certainly, a very, very treacherous drive last night home because of the farmers' fields on both sides and the whiteout conditions. It was very, very treacherous to sort of navigate that last night. So, you've got the city with two different sort of perspectives, that rural perspective, and then people sort of complaining that it's only one way because of the snow banks. Do you think we put enough into snow clearing?
First of all, Sam, I'm very happy to hear that you're moved into your new home.
Thank you.
I'm delighted to hear that, because I know how long you've been looking forward to that. So congratulations on that. But look, I want to thank the incredibly hardworking team at the City of Ottawa who are out there in these tough conditions. And whenever there's a storm, they're out there at all hours doing their jobs and clearing snow and removing snow. That work is continuing all the time, and we're constantly reviewing to make sure that we're addressing priority areas and that we're catching up where we need to catch up, and we're listening to the community. So that's an ongoing process, and I know they're doing the best they can and working really hard, and we're always reviewing to make sure we have the right resources in place.
So do you think there is enough money, though, for storms like we've seen this year? Do you feel like you've got enough in the budget moving forward?
Well, based on what I've been told by city staff, I think we're fine. And I know, there are always going to be residents who want to see higher levels of service, and we're looking at that and reviewing it. And I know that we can't get everywhere. There's a limited amount of equipment. Obviously, there's a fixed amount of equipment. We can always buy more, but that's not going to happen overnight. So I think everybody's doing the best they can, and we'll continue to look at whether more resources are required in the weeks and months ahead.
And Mayor, one last question for you. When we think about all of the industries that are having a hard time attracting talent, does the City of Ottawa have a hard time right now attracting people to different positions? I know you're currently looking for that city manager position as well. Are there enough people applying to fill all the needs of the city?
I haven't, first of all, you bring up a really excellent point, Sam, that I know I talk to business owners all the time. I talk to employers, and everybody is finding it challenging. And I'll mention, we have a small team in the mayor's office, and we still have one or two vacancies that we haven't filled in our office because we're looking for the right people, and it's a challenging time to hire new people right now, and I hear that from business owners and many other employers. I haven't heard that that's been a significant issue at the City of Ottawa at the moment. I'm sure someone will bring that up if it is a chronic issue. I know we have some vacancies at the City of Ottawa, but I'm not aware that it's an obstacle to us getting our work done and delivering the services that we need to the people of Ottawa.
Mm-hmm. I hope this weekend we find you relaxing a little bit, maybe enjoying a beaver tail.
I always enjoy beaver tails whenever I have them. Great local business, and there's lots to do this weekend. Lots of Winterlude stuff. I heard on the news. I was at an event last night launching the Canadian Culinary Championships, and I heard about that on the news just now, and there's a ton of stuff going on this month. So I hope everybody gets out and enjoys it. And I think the canal is, today the only good news about the frigid temperatures today is that will help us get the canal open.
100%. We're going to be speaking with Melanie Bro, of course, from Canadian Heritage just after the break here, Mayor. So we'll get an update as well.
Looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you for this. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Appreciate his time very much. Mayor Mark Sutcliffe joining us, touched on a lot of different topics there today. Melanie Bro, as I mentioned, is coming up after this short break. We're going to hear all about Winterlude. It's chilly out there. Stay with us on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Chef, prendiamo un café. Let's grab a coffee and a sweet treat, a tiramisu. Salut!
At St. John Ambulance, we're all about community. We teach life-saving skills and provide community support through our volunteer services. All St. John Ambulance product sales and training registrations support these important services. Volunteer, donate, or enroll in a program today so we can continue to have an impact on our community. Visit sja.ca to learn more. At St. John Ambulance, we do more than save lives, we change lives.
I'm Gagwege. My name means everything.
Tom Longboats.
I am Wolf Clan, Onondaga Nation. I've run many different races. I've run to survive and to be free. I've run to win for honor.
His people might be lazy, but this one's damn fast.
My people respected our runners, people who carried important messages from village to village.
I need a guide to the next post. Dispatch carrier, sir. I can get you there.
God's sakes, man, slow down. Who do you think I am, Tom Longboat?
No, sir. I am.
Running makes me feel alive. It's everything.
Tom Longboat was the first Indigenous person to win the Boston Marathon. He ran his way to international fame and became an inspiration to generations of athletes.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Little brown girl,
Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, it is very chilly out there, but of course it's Winterlude. We're Canadians. We can do it. Melanie Bro is here, Director of Capital Celebrations and Program Operations at Canadian Heritage. Hi, Melanie.
Hi there, Sam. How are you today?
Melanie, you have the best job.
Well, some days.
Some days. Chilly days like this when we know we're wanting to get out there and celebrate all things Winterlude. Tell us any updates you have, Melanie.
I would love to. So, as you mentioned, it's a little bit chilly today, and we want to make sure that at the forefront of all of our decisions that we're really taking into consideration the health and safety of folks who are coming down to participate at Winterlude, including, the hundreds of volunteers that we have and the amazing staff, the wonderful team that I have. So, sadly, we've had to make some tough decisions this morning where we've decided that we looked at all the outdoor programming and everything that we have outside, and we've made some decisions to either cancel for today or postpone where we could to tomorrow.
And it's such an important decision to make, though, Melanie. As you said, you want everyone to be nice and safe, and thank heavens Winterlude goes on for a number of weeks. So where can everybody get these updates, Melanie, as they're coming?
Yeah, so to your point, really great news that Winterlude, it launches today, February 3rd, and it runs right through until the 20th, which includes the Family Day Monday vacation in Ontario. So we have lots of weekends coming ahead so that folks can still participate at Winterlude. But in addition to the outdoor activities, there's so much that's happening indoors for people to still come to the National Capital Region, come downtown to Ottawa and Gatineau, and participate in so much that's happening. I can give you a quick highlight. The Museum of History is actually hosting a wonderful concert this evening called Minoshkeet, which is music to your ears. It's an Indigenous show that's going to be featuring William Prince. Unfortunately, it is sold out. It's sold out within minutes because I think William Prince is just such a great performer and attracts a lot of folks that want to come listen to him. But on Sunday, there's actually going to be a Winterlude powwow also at the Museum of History. So folks are invited to come out and learn more about Indigenous culture.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's wonderful about that? I filled in this week on Daytime for our great colleague Derek Fage, and Ray Ann White Duck was one of the guests on the show, and she's the MC. And oh my heavens, I learned so much from her, Melanie. Like, it's amazing to see how these opportunities can really be fun, but also so educational.
I completely agree, and I know you asked, and I want to mention to your listeners that you can certainly Google Winterlude 2023 and check out all of the activities that are still underway on the Canadian Heritage website. Other activities that are still ongoing this weekend indoors, there's the Winter Jazz that's going to be happening at the Arts Court. Tomorrow, RCMP has a musical ride stable, so you can actually tour their facilities and meet their horses. I will tell you, they offered me a sneak peek yesterday, and I got to pet those amazing, beautiful horses. So that's going to be a great activity indoors to stay warm. And I know that you can also stay warm at Aberdeen Pavilion over at Lansdowne Park. They have a retro roller disco that's happening all weekend long. So that's really family friendly and gives you the opportunity to stay warm and get moving.
And Melanie, it's not lost on me that the last couple of years have been so challenging, and I can't even imagine being in your position and trying to coordinate such an important time in our city with all of the different restrictions that were placed on us. But this feels so incredibly normal and positive and exciting, and I picture like a flood of people coming to Ottawa. Is that what you're hoping?
Oh, Sam, without a doubt, that's what we're hopeful. We've got this, 24, 30-hour really cold temperature, but we're hopeful that by Saturday, we're going to be back up to normal. I know in the afternoon, we're looking at temperatures that are warming up, and by Sunday, things should be back to normal. And I'm actually live on Spark Street right now, and, the street is already all set up for Winterlude. It comes alive when we've got people that are walking through the streets. There's lots of activities happening at the Byward Market as well, family-friendly events, sleigh rides, interactive art pieces, lots for the families to see and do. So we really hope that we're able to have people come out and join us in celebrating Canadian winter.
Absolutely. And there's so much to celebrate. You've got all those different activities, and I think it's great to also, not only participate in all those, but all of the businesses that benefit from this economic boom as well. It's a good news story all around.
I completely agree. It's, an iconic winter festival in our national capital region. I don't think there's that many other winter festivals that happen in the national capital region. So this is really an opportunity for tourists to come and visit our beautiful city. Normally, we have about, pre-COVID, I would say, 600,000 people that come and participate throughout Winterlude over the course of the 3 weekends. And what's incredible is 1/3 of those 600,000 people do come from outside the region. So you're right, it's been 2 long years of not having a Winterlude festival. We were really hopeful that today we were kickstarting Winterlude, which we are, just with some changes to our programming just to keep people safe.
And safety is definitely where it's at, Melanie, and I really appreciate your time today. I know we just spoke with Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, and I called him the busiest guy in town, but I think you're right up there with him in terms of being super busy and spending time with us today on City News. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us, and happy Winterlude, and hope to see everybody come and visit us in the downtown core.
Absolutely. We'll be there, beaver tails and all, my friend. Appreciate it very much. We are seeing some breaking news that we wanted to share with you today. We understand the federal government is withdrawing controversial amendments to its gun legislation that would have banned thousands of assault-style firearms, but which was widely criticized for also targeting rifles and shotguns popular with hunters. The surprise move was announced at the House of Commons Public Safety Committee just a short while ago after the Liberals had spent months defending the amendments. This is even after the minority government lost the necessary support from opposition parties to pass the law. We are going to be following this story very closely here on City News. You'll want to spend some time with us talking about that. We're getting ready as well for a very busy lunch today. It's a day of mayors. We've had Mayor Mark Sutcliffe join us, and we've got a couple of Valley mayors spending lunchtime with us. You'll want to stay with us all morning, all day here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
After a night out with your friends, there's always options for getting home safely. You could call your BFF, your mom or dad, whoever you can count on for a safe ride home. You could call your favorite cab company or 1-888 taxi guy. Or you could use the Arrive Alive smartphone app to help you choose your ride. Be it a friend, transit, or taxi, getting home safely is app easy. Now available for iOS and Android devices. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Once upon a time, in a nursery rhyme, there were 3 bears. 1, 2, 3 bears. And they went a-walking in the cool woods a-talking while their porridge began.
Rogers TV invites you to let your imagination roam as we present Ottawa Storytellers. Each week we'll present a collection of original creative stories and inspirations for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers on Rogers TV.
Hi, my name is Arcanta and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 101.1 everywhere.
It is Friday, February 3rd. Good morning. I am Damilola Onime. Right now in Ottawa, extreme cold warning, minus 27, feels like minus 43. In Smiths Falls, it is minus 26 and feels like minus 38. And here's what's making news this hour. Breaking Breaking news, regional newsroom. The federal Liberals are withdrawing a controversial amendment to their gun bill that would have added many popular hunting rifles and shotguns to a list of prohibited firearms in this country. The amendment has caused an outcry in many parts of rural Canada, and the Liberals have been under pressure from many of their own MPs to change or withdraw the new definition of weapons being banned. We'll continue to bring you updates on this developing story as we receive it. Extreme cold warnings remain in place for Ottawa, Smith Falls, and much of the province, also in Quebec, in Manitoba, and also Atlantic Canada, with wind chill temperatures of -40 expected today into tomorrow. These frigid conditions have people who run shelters in fear for the vulnerable homeless population. An effort are being made across the city to get vulnerable folks indoors and warm. Shelters like the Shepherds of Good Hope, the Ottawa Mission, are doing extra rounds to make sure no one is stuck outside today and tomorrow, and they are also providing extra winter gear to people who need them. You may see a large number of military vehicles on provincial highways if you are on the roads this weekend. The ND says there is nothing to worry about. They're just conducting convoy trainings. The convoy training will take place on stretches of highways Ottawa to Petawawa, Ottawa through Kingston, and Trenton to Hamilton. Motorists are asked to exercise caution around the vehicles. City News time is 10:31. I am Damilola Onime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're back on City News. I wanted to spend a bit of time today with my colleague, Alex Seixeiro, sportscaster, of course, here with City News. Hi, Alex.
Sam, good morning. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for sharing time with us today. I understand you've received a recent diagnosis, and we want to talk about that today. Do you mind sharing with our listeners?
No, not at all. I went to social media Monday and I kind of laid everything out. I returned to work on Monday and figured that was the best time to do so. So pretty much last year, I noticed I started having some pain, and then it was kind of in my testicle region. And, as I think a lot of men tend to do, we just kind of put things off. I didn't think it was much of anything. And, kind of was experiencing that on and off. And then there was one morning, early morning in August, where the pain was so bad it woke me up, and I kind of told my wife, I think I need to go to the emergency room. So that's exactly what I did. And maybe 6-7 hours later, we had an ultrasound and a tumor was confirmed, and that was really the last thing I was expecting. I thought maybe there was an infection, I'd get some antibiotics and I'd be fine and I'd be good in 2-3 days. And that was not the case. It was, the complete opposite. So that kind of really hit home and kind of changed everything. And, about a week and a half later, had surgery and kind of recovered for 3 weeks. And I came back to work briefly. The news at that time was good. We did some scans, and I was told I was cancer-free. And then I was... had some follow-up care sent to the Juravinsky Hospital Cancer Center in Hamilton, Ontario. And thankfully, I was sent there because the oncologist at Juravinsky found that the cancer did, in fact, spread. And, it's a blessing that I was over there, and the oncologist there caught something that wasn't caught at the other hospital. So just went through 9 weeks of chemo, which was, pretty intense, but I think the whole goal of kind of going public and going on social media and just kind of explaining everything that happened was, I think, like I said, I think us men, we especially, this goes for everyone, I think men specifically just tend to kind of keep things in. They don't want to talk about what might be going on. They don't want to see a doctor. They don't want to book a physical. And I think in my case, I probably waited too long to get checked out, and I don't want other people making that mistake. And Sam, the response I've got online has been incredible. A lot of people who've had exactly what I've had have shared their stories. A lot of people have said, you know what, Alex, I got something going on. I think I'm going to make an appointment. And that was really the goal. If my story can help out other people, that's what I wanted to do. So I'm feeling great right now. Things look positive, not out of the woods yet. But that was really the goal of going to social media, and it's been so cool to see the response I've received since.
Oh, Alex, and thank you so much. And your objective of sharing and even the response you've received to date, and I'm hoping today that maybe you even inspire someone listening to City News Ottawa that, that maybe has something else going on health-wise. And I think layered on top, Alex, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but layered on top of just sort of that way men think about their health. And my dad, too, he waited way too long in terms of his prostate cancer. And we see that type of thing happen over and over again. But then we layer on the pandemic, where sometimes it's not, an exciting place to go, obviously, is the hospital. Even in these times, it's even more challenging for people to make their way there.
No, there's no doubt. And I think the one thing I can share is that, spending a lot of time recently at the Juravinski Cancer Center, I got a really up-close look at just how amazing the nurses are over there, Sam, how amazing the oncologists are. I don't know what it was like, maybe pre-COVID. But there was on any given day I was there, and I would spend a number of hours in kind of the chemo suite. There was always 2 nurses teamed up dealing with maybe 7 or 8 patients at a time. And, it wasn't easy, but they found a way with a smile on their face, always making sure you were comfortable. If you needed something, they were always there. They were stretched thin, just like in most hospitals in Canada, and I got to see it. I wasn't in the hospital; I was in the cancer center, but they're connected, but they were unbelievable. And I really have a newfound appreciation for what specifically those nurses do, and obviously what all frontline healthcare workers have been going through the last number of years. But even though they were clearly stretched thin with 2 nurses dealing with so many patients at a time, they found a way. They made it work. They never complained, and they always made you feel comfortable. And that's something they really need to be recognized for that.
And I think it's an important point as well. And we spoke with the Ottawa Regional Cancer Foundation a number of times over the last couple of years that because the pandemic was here didn't mean cancer stopped. And because it wasn't getting the attention that maybe normally cancer was getting, it was hard for people to sort of realize that, these diagnoses were still happening and important to stay on top of those preventative opportunities such as colonoscopies and mammograms and all the tests that we need to make sure we're all staying as healthy as possible.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Cancer doesn't care if there's a pandemic going on. It's going to happen, and a lot of people are going to be diagnosed with it. And every day I would be there, the waiting room was packed. I started going there in late November for treatments, and it doesn't matter if it was a Tuesday or a Friday. There was always a lot of people who needed treatments for a lot of different types of cancers. And the one thing I can say, Sam, is that a lot of young men in Canada are being diagnosed with testicular cancer, but the good news is it is extremely treatable, and in terms of curability rates, we're talking, mid to upper 90%. And the earlier you can detect testicular cancer, the better. Even if you don't detect it right away, I've been talking to a lot of people who've had stage 4 testicular cancer, and they've been cancer-free for multiple years. So thankfully, with this specific type of cancer, the treatments they have, I had like a 3 regimen chemotherapy session that they gave me over the 9 weeks, and from what I understand, this 9-week regimen with these specific drugs, it's almost the go-to when it comes to kind of the testicular cancer I've had. People have been getting this regimen for 40 to 50 years because it works so well with testicular cancer. So specifically with what I had, some people have told me they've been diagnosed. They started with maybe a little bit of pain in their lower back. In my case, I had some pain in my testicles. So there are different warning signs out there that could tell you might have it. It could be something else. But again, the earlier, just like with a lot of cancers, the earlier you can diagnose this, the better shot you have. And not just the survivability rates are high, Sam, but the curability rates with testicular cancer are so high, pretty much some of the best out there. So again, if you're feeling something, you're not sure what it is, especially if it's been on your mind and it's been really bothering you, if it's been weighing on you, you've been putting it off. I think, for me going to the ER that morning, I felt like I didn't have a choice because I was in quite a bit of pain, but it was, I guess, one of the best things I did, because if I didn't go, I really don't know what situation I'd be in right now.
Well, Alex, I just love hearing your voice on City News. Makes my whole day. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you. Alex Seixeiro joining us, of course, sportscaster at City News, and a very important message that he had to share today, and we appreciate it very much. We wanted to spend time today with Ottawa Fire Services one and only Mark Messier. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Sam. How are you this morning?
Good. It's wonderful to hear your voice as well, Mark. You've certainly been the voice of Ottawa Fire for many, many years, and I got a very interesting message yesterday that you are retiring.
That's correct. I retired. Tuesday was my last day.
There you go. And how does it feel, Mark?
You know what? It was tough coming up to that decision. I mean, with COVID that was going on, and plus with the economies, what's going on with the economy right now really made it difficult to determine whether or not it was the right time. But circumstances and since I've been thinking about it probably for a few years, I figured, you know what, you just got to pull the plug. If you don't, then you're just going to sit there and continue trying to second guess your decisions.
Mm-hmm. And you've done so much for this community, Mark, and I think your service in terms of what you've done for the city of Ottawa. You've been in some very difficult situations over your career. What were your takeaway as some of the fonder moments?
Probably the people. Whether it be through the job itself or through the off-hour stuff, like the volunteer work, the fundraising stuff that we do, the Chill Christmas party that we do. And my short time as PIO between 2010 and 2015 gave me the opportunity to meet a lot of people, reporters, members of the public, other fundraisers, other fire department members. That's probably been the highlight, I would think. Mm-hmm. Every job that I held with the fire service, firefighting was definitely the most exciting, but it also had its downfalls. But every other position has got me an opportunity to meet people from the different divisions and how hard they work. Mm-hmm. So always the people.
Well, certainly from a media perspective, I know we certainly relied on you a lot here at City News, and you were always so gracious to provide information that we were trying to follow for many, many years, and that's how I sort of got to know your name. We've never met. But I will tell you, and this is a story that I've been wanting to tell on air for so many years, and now I get to do it, Mark, is that at the height of COVID, so you remember March of 2020, it was just a lot of scary information coming our way, not to have anyone in your home, not to be very cautious about what we were doing. We were all locked down, and my daughter and I were having a big challenge at our house because our fire our smoke detectors kept going off, and we couldn't figure out why. We tried to fix it. We eventually had to call the fire department because we thought maybe something was going on. They fixed it. It kept happening, and it was very, very stressful for our family. And I reached out to Mark Messier. I reached out to you, Mark, on Twitter and said, Mark, any advice for me? I'm losing my mind here. I'm working so much for the radio station, and I want to tell everybody that Mark Messier came to my house and changed my smoke detectors on his own time to make sure my family was safe.
I knew you'd share that story. I was afraid you were going to share that story, but this is really, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, it was one of those things where you reached out, and I would probably do it for anybody who needed a hand, and I think that's what most of us probably would do in a situation like that. If we can make the situation a little bit better, why not reach out and do it? You were very trusting to begin with, to allow me in your home when there was nobody there. And, it's just a small gesture to make things a little bit better for you and your family.
Oh, it was a small gesture. It was not small at all. It was huge. And that's just the kind of guy you are. I follow you, of course, in all the work that you've done. And you've done a lot for the community, Mark, and I hope you walk away knowing that we're very, very grateful here at the City of Ottawa for your service. And I can imagine it would be a job to walk away from, would be very easy. So please know that you're appreciated and won't be forgotten.
Well, thanks for that, Sam. I don't think I'm walking from it completely. I do plan on staying involved. The Sally Ann have a truck that we use at major incidents to provide refreshments and food for victims and for the emergency responders. So I plan on taking part of that. And there's also the Red Cross that are a huge partner with us here in Ottawa, and I plan on getting involved with them. So I'm going to keep my hands in it and hopefully continue to help the people of Ottawa and the first responders.
Well, that just makes my whole day.
All right.
Mark, thank you so much, and appreciate your time today. Mark Messier from Ottawa Fire Services, retired now on Tuesday. We're thinking about Mark and his family, and to all the firefighters and all of the people that work in fire services. We are absolutely grateful for you every single day. We may not say it, but it's in our heart. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the fact that tomorrow, Saturday, February the 4th, is World Cancer Day. We're going to hear a story that, well, you won't forget. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Un Chef, prendiamo un café. Let's grab a coffee and a sweet treat, a tiramisu. Salut!
Your mouth can do a lot of amazing things. And your mouth can save a life.
Hi, I'm Tom Wong. I'm just one of close to 1,000 Canadians in search of a stem cell match. We need your help.
A simple swab is all you need to register on the National Stem Cell Database. You could be the one to save a life. Find the hero in you.
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
There we go.
You're going back in, okay?
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Little brown girl, don't.
Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Saturday, February the 4th is World Cancer Day. And I think about all the incredible work, world-class work and talent being done at the Ottawa Hospital. And we wanted to share about World Cancer Day through the eyes of Denise Picard-Stenser. Hi, Denise.
Hi.
Denise, tell me a little bit about your career at the Ottawa Hospital in nursing.
Well, I worked at the Ottawa Hospital for 27 years.
started my career at the bedside in the intensive care unit and worked my way through different management roles to cover, the emergency and the ICU. And I also worked in the human resources department.
So you would have seen a lot in your 27 years, Denise.
I did, yeah.
And how did you see the Ottawa Hospital through a different lens when you ended up not at the bedside but in the bed?
Well, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I was very pleased with the care that I received. It was everything that actually exceeded my expectations. I was faced with a terrible illness, and even though I have a medical background, I was in, there was a lot of anxiety, but, the professionalism and the competencies and the knowledge of all the staff really was there to reassure me.
Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned off the top, the research that's being done at the Ottawa Hospital, of course, the care that's given, the talent that's attracted to the Ottawa Hospital because of that world-class sort of view on all the work that's being done there. Was it a kind of a moment of pride for you as well, Denise, to think, I was part of this team at one point?
Oh, absolutely. And, you work through it and you're part of it, but you don't always see the end result. But I certainly believed in it when we were participating in clinical trials. And then I was the recipient of all of that research, that basically saved my life.
It's incredible. And what has that time meant to you, Denise, over the last couple of years?
Oh, it's changed everything. I mean, I never, there was a point where I didn't think I was going to survive this. And after my stem cell transplant, it took me only a couple of months to regain my strength and my weight. I have lost 30 pounds. It's going to be 3 years at the end of the month that I've had my transplant. And, I've been able to resume my activities and to stay healthy.
Well, I saw a beautiful picture of you. The Ottawa Hospital sent me this gorgeous picture of you with your grandchild. And those are the moments, right, Denise?
Absolutely. My grandson was born 3 weeks before my transplant, and my daughter drove through a major snowstorm to bring him to me, and that gave me the strength to go through what I had that last part of the journey. And that's what you fight for, your family and your loved ones.
Well, Denise, tomorrow, of course, being World Cancer Day, I'll be thinking about you tomorrow, Denise, and I appreciate you sharing your story, not only of the incredible dedication you have as a nurse, but it was like to be a patient as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And tomorrow on An Hour to Give, the Ottawa Hospital will be telling a couple of incredible stories of World Cancer Day and how they're sort of marking this day with some great interviews tomorrow. So I hope you turn into An Hour to Give tomorrow here on City News starting at 8 a.m. We'll rebroadcast as well 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. We hope you join us for that. It is chilly out there. There is no two ways about it. Eric Bowman is joining us now. Hi, Eric.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. Eric is the Secretary of the Board of Directors and Chair of the Communications Committee for Operation Come Home. And Eric, I can't even imagine the 24 hours that was chosen for 24 hours of homelessness, what it's meant for people that dedicated themselves to this fundraiser.
It's been a rough one. This is it's super difficult overnight, and our participants remain in good spirits, although not quite as sharp as they were perhaps going into this yesterday at 2 p.m.
And Eric, why do you do this? Why is this fundraiser so important?
Because I think that one of the things that we really want is to raise awareness for the plight of people who are unhoused in Ottawa and how significant a problem it really is. Now, of course, our participants are not living the life of a homeless person for 24 hours. They're just giving a little snapshot into what that world is like. But we want people to pay attention to what our volunteers are doing and to think, what's it got to be like on a night like this, where it reaches minus 35, where the wind chill is so brutal, when you don't have a bed to go to, when you don't have a shelter bed that's available to you, and you have to find somewhere to sleep. And then tomorrow night you're going to have to do the same thing, and the night after that, and the night after that. So we're just hoping that it illustrates the issues that so many of the youth that Operation Come Home serves face on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. And I know I spoke with your executive director, John Heckbert, yesterday in regards to the fact that, you canceled the the $24 challenge because it was just unrealistic. So youth are just facing so much, Eric, in terms of this troubled time that we've all been through, but through the lens of somebody living on the street like you've just described, it seems unconscionable that we've got youth living outside on a day like today.
It really is. It's a failure on so many levels that people do live outside on days like this. And like you said, the $24 challenge, we ended up having to cancel it because it isn't a realistic number anymore. We calculated it a few years ago based on one of the youth that we serve and that we work with, who was housed, who did have a part-time job, got everything that she could get from Ontario Works and from the City of Ottawa Housing Allowance, and what did she have left at the end of every week to spend on food was $24. Well, since then, Ontario Works hasn't gone up. The City Housing Allowance has, but so is rent, so is the cost of food, so is the cost of everything else, and if we were to do it again now, we'd be working with negative numbers. So all of these factors that affect all of us affect the most vulnerable way more and way worse than it does everybody else.
Mm-hmm. So the challenge is done at 2:00 this afternoon, correct, for today?
That's right. We're going all the way up until 2:00, and hopefully our participants can get a little bit of sleep now that the sun's out. It gets a little bit easier when the sun comes out in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Eric, thank you so much for everything you do in terms of youth homelessness and all the issues that everybody seeking help from Operation Come Home go to you for. Thank you.
And thank you for having us on and highlighting what we're doing today.
Always a pleasure. Eric Bowman joining us today, Secretary of the Board of Directors and Chair of the Communications Committee for Operation Come Home. We appreciate his time very much. When we come back, we're going to be talking about a very important issue here in Canada, and that is MAID. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, some people used the A word. They called it an accident, but it wasn't. An accident implies that no one was at fault. But when someone impaired by alcohol and/or drugs chooses to drive, they're fully responsible for the crash that can result. So please, for the memory of my brother DJ and the thousands of families whose lives have been shattered by impaired drivers, let's drop the A word.
A crash caused by impaired driving is not an accident.
At Celebrate Ottawa, we love showing you something a little different. We showcase remarkable people highlighting the city's diversity in arts, culture, sports, and nature. We will show you features that prove Ottawa is a vibrant and exciting city. We'll entertain you and we'll even teach you new things. Join me, your host, Lila Grine, as we explore and celebrate Ottawa.
Hi, my my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
This is City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Friday, February 3rd. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, under an extreme cold warning, minus 27, feels like minus 43. In Smiths Falls, it is minus 26 and feels like minus 38. And here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. We're learning the federal government is withdrawing an amendment to the guns bill that that introduced a controversial new addition to what is regarded as an assault-style weapon. The amendment would have defined what kind of firearms should be banned in the country and added dozens of semi-automatic rifles and shotguns to that list. The bill amendment caused a major outcry in many quarters, including among Liberal MPs, who called for the feds to change or withdraw the new definition of weapons being banned. MPs on the Public Safety Committee have unanimously agreed to the motion to withdraw the amendment. And the polar vortex has arrived, bringing with it some extremely cold temperatures in the Eastern Ontario region. City News reporter Chris Curris has the story.
Today and tomorrow, temperatures near minus 30 with wind chills near minus 40.
These are dangerously cold temperatures and wind chills, and there is the risk for frostbite within minutes on exposed skin, especially with these types of wind chills.
Weather specialist Denise Andriachi says the outer layer should be wind resistant, and if it's too cold for you, it's too cold for your pet. Now, OC Transpo saying it's not too cold for the LRT, although that is still to be determined. They say they got the line ready by heating it overnight. They're doing some additional salting on the platforms and keeping more staff on site, while trains will also be running at slower speeds. Chris Curry's City News.
With the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
The extreme cold warning will remain in place for the entire day and night. We have a wind chill in the minus 30s and 40s throughout the next 24 to 36 hours. So incredibly cold, frostbite within minutes. We hit the guaranteed high much earlier this morning of minus 16, but now we are in the minus 20s and 30s, like I said, for the rest of the day and night. And it's really that wind chill that is so dangerous as temperatures fall even more drastically through the overnight tonight. Make sure your pets are indoors and stay layered up. Keep your exposure outdoors to a minimum. We reached the guaranteed high this morning of minus 16.
City News time is 11:03. Winterlude has kicked off this morning, but as Melanie Broll, director of Capital Celebrations, tells us, the frigid conditions have caused some changes to the itinerary.
Sadly, we've had to make some tough decisions this morning, where we've decided that we looked at all the outdoor programming and everything that we have outside, and we've made some decisions to either cancel for today or postpone where we could to tomorrow.
The good news is Winterlude runs for 3 weekends, so you'll have another chance to participate in those outdoor activities. There are lots of indoor activities and family-friendly ones that you can get up to this weekend, including the Winter Jazz Festival at the Arts Court and the RCMP Ride Stables. For more on what's on this weekend and throughout Winterlude, you can head to the story at our website, ottawa.citynews.ca. I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you for joining us here on City News. We wanted to talk about a very important subject today, and that is MAID. We know that this is a controversial topic for many. We know the Liberal government is introducing legislation to delay by 1 year the expansion of the medically assisted death, which of course referred to as MAID law, to cover those suffering solely from a mental illness. We heard from Justice Minister David Lametti indicating it is clear more time is needed to get this right. We wanted to speak with Rebecca Vachon today, Program Director at Cardis Health. Hi, Rebecca.
Hello.
Rebecca, this is such a complicated, emotional, controversial topic. Talk to me a little bit about what you've seen in your research.
Well, it certainly is a topic that brings up a lot of concerns and emotions among Canadians, and I think that's part of the reason why we can all agree on the fact that we need to address some of the healthcare issues and some of the societal issues that are pushing people to request assisted suicide and assisted death, to make sure that those are really robust. We've seen really unfortunate accounts in the media about people who are not able to access housing who are requesting MAID, or who are being offered MAID because of PTSD as a veteran. So we need to make sure that these social systems and these healthcare institutions are able to ensure that we're offering an ability to live with dignity.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Canada is really creating a right to suicide?
I think there's definitely a concern that the message we're sending to people who are experiencing mental illness is that that we're not willing to fight for their lives. That's been the consistent message in all of the programming and all of the message that we've seen about mental illness. And now to say that we can offer death rather than trying to ensure that there are better services and better supports available, I think is really problematic. Unfortunately, accessing some of these mental health services can depend on having a higher income or having, private health care insurance through an employer. And so we need to make sure those supports are in place before we can even talk about expanding medical assisted suicide for those who have mental health care issues.
And let me ask you, I mean, with sort of this call to delay, do you think there was pressure on the government to do that, Rebecca?
Well, certainly there were so many calls from medical professionals and medical bodies that acknowledge that this is such a challenging area that asked the government to press pause. So I think there definitely was pressure, and I'm very relieved that the government listened to that. But I think that we need to, in the interim, not just wait for another year to pass before we continue having this discussion, but we need to really get at those social and healthcare structures to make sure that we're addressing some of these conditions. We need to really improve palliative care. That's something that has been called for decades now, and we still see so many issues with that. And while the government is saying that, in this interim period, up until next March, we need to improve education for medical professionals about MAID, we need to improve medical education for doctors about palliative care and ensure that Canadians are aware of the palliative care options for them so that we can better address their suffering when they're facing serious illness or facing the end of their life.
And the one thing I do know about palliative care, because my father went through it and I've studied a lot about this, I've had clients in the palliative care sector, is that I think when most Canadians think about palliative care, they think about the moment of death, when the real truth, Rebecca, is it's the living up to that moment of death that is so important. And it's all about dignity, and the amount of Canadians that aren't getting the amount of dignity they require at the end of life is horrendous.
It is. We need to expand availability and accessibility for palliative care and ensure Canadians are aware of these options, and also improve things like home care and other means that families are providing care for aging parents or family members at home, and ensure that they have adequate support and care as well. So there's so many things that need to be addressed before we can even consider further expanding medically assisted suicide and death.
We heard from Attorney General David Lametti as I spoke about. Here he is.
It will provide time to help provincial and territorial partners and the medical and nursing communities to prepare to deliver MAID in these circumstances. It will also allow the completion of in-depth studies of the risks and complexities associated with providing MAID to individuals whose sole underlying condition is mental illness.
I mean, this is obviously a very, very important differentiated terminology in terms of the fact that, there are people seeking MAID. I know someone in my network that their brother had it because of ALS, for instance. Very, very different circumstances that's solely mental health. Walk us through, kind of next steps in your mind, Rebecca.
Well, I think some of those next steps really needs to be focused around palliative care availability and focused around addressing some of the conditions that are contributing to people feeling the need to seek to end their own lives. We have seen, especially with the pandemic, that social isolation is an increasing problem among Canadians. And so how do we ensure that those conditions are being addressed before we expand the option for assisted suicide in order to, as you say, address the living with dignity component? Because
I look at Canada, and I think one of the things that's most beautiful about this country is the vast number of cultures that call Canada home. This must be not only from a religious perspective, but a cultural perspective, a conversation that's going to be very different in every home down the block.
For sure. And we also know that many Canadians approach illness and healthcare for the aging and family members in different ways. Sometimes it's feasible to provide care within the home, but we need to improve access to home care. We need to improve the services that are provided and provide a plurality of healthcare options so that people can have, really a good quality of life amidst these difficult situations.
And when you think about the relationship between patient and doctor, I mean, I think just in this own region, there's 150,000 people without a family doctor, across the province, 1 million people. To even have a relationship with your doctor, for some people is very challenging. But to have a relationship with your doctor include, of course, your family in these discussions. Those conversations are difficult if we don't have the robust foundation of a healthcare system to actually make sure all those people's needs are being met.
Certainly. The need to strengthen our healthcare system is apparent. And I think some of the concerns around that as well is that some medical professionals are opting out of being in the system of providing medical services because they don't want to be involved in situations like this. And we've also seen that there has been an erosion of the relationship of trust between doctors and patients, where patients are concerned that they might be offered medically assisted suicide or death when what they're looking for is support to continue living.
Rebecca, such an important conversation. I appreciate you joining us today. Let's keep talking, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Rebecca Vachon joining us today, Program Director for Cardis Health. An important conversation. Another important conversation coming up after this short break with my friend, my colleague, Anil Jolly. Our City News web editor will be in studio talking about all things that have happened this week on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Un Chef, prendiamo un café. Let's grab a coffee and a sweet treat, a tiramisu. Salut!
With clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
What do I like? I like open fires, moonlit nights, chatty letters, rainy days. I like daydreaming. I love this colorful little island of ruby, emerald, and sapphire. Yet often my dark moods come. I'm possessed body and soul by this depression. They say women shouldn't write. Some days I almost give up. But I cannot contain my imagination. I made Anne real. I gave her my love of nature, my love of books, and my childhood dreams. My greatest happiness would be to climb the alpine path and write upon it a woman's humble name.
Lucy Maud Montgomery battled depression, rejection, and sexism to become known around the world for Anne of Green Gables and 19 other novels.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Little brown girl,
Hey, I'm Picasso in Vontief. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, lots to talk about this week with my friend and colleague, Anil Jolly, joining us, City News web editor. It's been a busy one.
Sure has, Sam, and good morning.
Good morning. It's great to have you here. We know this week was budget. We talked about it a lot. We had Mayor Mark Sutcliffe join us this morning to talk about the budget. Here's what he had to say.
I'm very pleased about the fact that this budget meets many of the campaign commitments that I made last year during the election campaign, including a tax increase of 2.5% or less.
Is that what we want? Do we want to keep taxes at 2.5? I know a lot of families are struggling right now, but if it doesn't meet all the needs of the city, is that the way to go, Anil?
We know that, now Mayor Sutcliffe had made that campaign promise. We know with inflation, a lot of families are struggling, a lot of people are struggling, and he had mentioned this is a really tight budget. And but yeah, I mean, the promise was between 2 and 2.5%. So it was good to see that council or city staff was able kind of to direct that into that direction.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, and we know the big focus, of course, has been on the Ottawa Police Services budget. Mm-hmm. Lots of eyes on that particular budget as well.
Yeah, there has been lots of talk about the police budget, and we saw what they come up with earlier this week. So it'll be interesting. I mean, the police service is asking, just like with city, a lot of public consultation, a lot of feedback from residences and businesses. So it'll be interesting to see where we go from here, and what the feedback and what people provide as far as the budget direction is concerned.
Mm-hmm. We had a long list of questions for Mayor Mark Sutcliffe. We didn't get to them all, but one of the areas that I'm really interested in, that we've got in the budget another 14 paramedics,
mm-hmm.
but the paramedics were really asking for another 60.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even half of that, Anil.
Well, it was interesting because when we had, Daryl Wilton on yesterday, he was saying that it takes, I think, 12 personnel for one ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the budget is for 14, and they were asking for 60. And if you look at the last year, Sam, all of the, the offload delays at the hospital emergency rooms and the level zeros. We had 1,000 level zeros last year. So
mm-hmm.
there's people not getting the ambulances and the services in an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
So if any service does need that extra support and extra funding, I think we have to look at the paramedic service, because it could become somebody's life, or a health emergency.
For sure. And I think you only really realize that if it's someone in your own network, right? Like if it's your family or a friend or that's suffered because of this, then you kind of become heightened to it. But you don't really on an everyday basis as a resident of Ottawa go, well, how many paramedics are working today, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So. And yeah, I mean, if it happens to you personally, you'll feel it. But listening to Mr. Wilton on yesterday is, if there's any service that requires this type of funding, it's the people that are there that are helping residents get to the hospital and trying to do their best to help these people.
Mm-hmm. Now we talked about a lot of things this week. The cold being one of them. It is chilly.
I don't remember, honestly, Sam. Remember this ever being this cold. To be honest, minus 42 with the wind chill. Stepped out of my house today and I was just like, oh dear.
Right. My puppies kind of looked back at me after I let them out because they normally run out in the morning. They're all excited. They sort of looked back at me like, what was that? Why'd you let us out here?
Same with our dog. Our dog Winnie. She loves the snow. She loves playing around in the snow. But she'll like run to the door and then she'll look. She's like, nah,
no,
I'm good.
Not for me
Not
today.
for me today.
No, absolutely. Well, we're thinking forward to February 20th. It's certainly going to be hot at the CTC because, of course, WWE is coming. We had an opportunity this week to speak with Candice LeRae. Here's what she had to say.
Like everything in life, wrestling is changing along with the times. And I think that's one of the reasons that I can now be a mother and, WWE superstar.
Okay, I fell in love with her. I absolutely, what a sweetheart. I can't believe she does it. She's only 5'2".
Yeah, she's awesome. And her husband, Johnny Gargano, who I've had the privilege of speaking to. We know that Monday Night Raw, February 20th, CTC, it's the first Monday Night Raw since 2010 we've had in Ottawa.
Wow.
So the times have certainly changed.
Yes.
Many new faces on that roster. But if you go on our website, I've had a chance to speak to the likes of Johnny Gargano and Dakota Kai, just leading up to their excitement of being part of the Raw brand coming to CTC later this month.
And it was so lovely because she said how much she loves coming to Canada. And I always think it's interesting for, these superstars, of course, to be traveling all around the States and then to hear, oh, you're coming to Toronto or you're coming to Ottawa. Like, what does that feel like? She's like, oh, no, Sam, like, I love coming to Canada.
We have a very, very passionate fan base of wrestling fans here in Ottawa. And it's an exciting time for the WWE because we're leading up to WrestleMania. WrestleMania is their big flagship event.
Right.
In Los Angeles this year. I will be going.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wonderful wife got me tickets for Christmas.
Wow, you have a great wife.
She's the best.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of a bucket list for me. I'm a huge WWE fan, so it's big, and I'm very, like I said, it's exciting. We're leading up to WrestleMania. We'll see what storylines and who's there on February 20th, but that's also going to be very exciting.
Well, that makes so much sense now that you know so much about all these superstars with the WWE. Always value your time, and of course, we're going to get you back into the newsroom. It's a busy day.
It's a very busy day.
It's a busy day. We're going to be speaking with Michaela Chuchalowskis. She's the supervisor of outreach services for the Salvation Army to talk about how chilly it is out there. Hi, Michaela.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. Michaela, just give us a sense of what you're seeing.
So I started today at 6 a.m. and I have not turned my phone off. We've been getting calls back to back for concerns that our community members are having about our homeless folk in the community. We have been nonstop since 6 a.m. this morning, and we're going to continue going until it's not as chilly outside.
Mm-hmm. It's Michaela. I used to work in homelessness and work at the Ottawa Mission for so many years, and it was just so heartbreaking on days like this. It's always, I think, the fear of people like yourself and people that work front line is just if somebody is left behind and not be able to get into the nice warm opportunities that are downtown.
Mm-hmm. The good news is that if anybody in the community sees somebody that they think might need a little bit of help, if they can just give 311 a call and ask to speak to the Sal van, we'll try our best to get over there as quickly as possible, and then, either help them get inside somewhere warm or make sure that they have enough supplies to keep warm and safe. in the community.
Absolutely. And what are you seeing in terms of the amount of people seeking help, or the amount of people that you're trying to bring in? Are the numbers increased from, let's say, 2022, for instance?
I've noticed a little bit of an increase with just the after effects of COVID. It's been a little bit rough for our community with so many things that had to be shut down for safety reasons. So we're just kind of building back from that. But so far, like, our community partners and the shelters and drop-ins have been incredibly helpful in addressing homelessness and street sweeping homelessness. And everyone's been working together and pitching in, and, you know, everyone's doing the best they can. And so far, this cold spell, I'm seeing that nobody has been left behind yet, and we're going to do our absolute best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. And you were saying to call in, and I think the challenge we've seen over the last couple of years, I know I've moved now, but when I was in Barrhaven, we used to see a couple of people who were clearly without a home living in that community. I think the sense of everybody being downtown is a bit of a misnomer as well, Michaela, in terms of who we may want to be calling to help out.
Yeah, so we have clients who we engage with fairly routinely that are, you know, in Cumberland and in Manotick, right? So we'll go anywhere in the Ottawa city limits, and that involves, you know, providing supplies, transportation, but also to work on getting some long-term housing supports in place.
Absolutely. Well, definitely keep up the great work, and we're sending positive vibes that everybody in our community stays nice and safe and warm over this very, very chilly time.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for everything.
My pleasure. Michaela Tochalowski's joining us today. We appreciate that very much. Supervisor of Outreach Services for the Salvation Army, and it definitely has been a difficult 24 hours for so many, and we are sending all of our positive vibes for all of the people working in this sector to make sure everybody stays nice and safe. We know on Fridays we touch base with the one and only Keith Whittier. He's a movie reviewer. Well, nothing changes today. He's back with a lot of different opportunities to hear what we should be tuning into, and we're getting ready for that important lunch as well. We've got a couple of mayors having lunch with us today. Mayor Sean Pankow from Smiths Falls is having lunch with Mayor Tom Sidney of Renfrew, and they're having lunch with me. I'm so excited. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
The regulars, the guys who keep this place in business. Last week, they had something to celebrate. Jason had just finished university. So they toasted his profs, his TAs, his old roommates. Well, they toasted just about everyone. But I worry about and take care of my guys. So even when I know they're not driving, sometimes that means bringing them a little surprise. And then they had a drink to me.
Brought to you by Smart Serve Ontario and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
Hi, I'm Meg from AIM Fitness, and I'm here with my buddy Fit Finley. Join us every week for Fit Over 50. We'll take you through some low-impact and high-intensity workouts designed to improve your strength and your balance. All you'll need is a resistance band, some light hand weights, and also your water bottle and a sturdy chair. Tune in right here on Rogers TV and let us be part of your weekly routine.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Friday, February 3rd. Good morning. I am Damilola Onime. Right now in Ottawa, minus 27, and it feels like minus 42. In Smith Falls, it is minus 26 and feels like minus 38. And here's what's making news this hour. The federal government is withdrawing a controversial amendment to its guns bill. The amendment would have added many popular hunting rifles and shotguns to a list of prohibited firearms in Canada. It led to an outcry from many in rural Canada, with additional pressure on Ottawa from many Liberal MPs to change or withdraw the new definition of weapons being banned. Conservative leader Pierre Palliative is claiming victory, saying it was his party that forced Prime Minister Justin Trudeau into, quote, this humiliating climb down. The Snowflake Kingdom at the Jacques Cartier Park, along with some other outdoor activities, have been either cancelled or postponed for the day because of the frigid weather conditions. Melanie Brolt, director of Capital Celebrations, tells City News the decision to only allow indoor activities at Winterlude today was made to keep staff, volunteers, and patrons safe. Now, seeing that Winterlude runs for 3 weekends, which includes the Family Day weekend, there's lots of time ahead for you to enjoy these outdoor activities. For a full list of what's open and closed at Winterlude today, head to canada.ca/Canadian Heritage. And you'll soon be able to fly directly from the Ottawa airport to Paris. Starting in June, the airline Air France says it will start offering 5 direct flights from Paris to Ottawa and vice versa. It is the only direct European flight they will be offering. City News time is 11:31. I am Damilola Onime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, we know the tragic death of an OPP constable just about a month ago really rocked this province, and I'm sure it has really affected Commissioner Thomas Carrick of the OPP as well. Hello, Commissioner.
Hi, Sam. How are you this morning?
Good. Commissioner, this is such a difficult conversation to have because we know that one of your own was lost, but the reality is these bail conditions that are being placed on people just seem to be absolutely ridiculous, considering how many of them have continued to commit crimes while out on bail.
Yeah, it is a great concern for me personally as the Commissioner of the OPP, for my officers, and as well as for police leaders right across this country.
And give us a sense of is this new, or has this been going on for decades?
This has been going on for quite some time. I point back to a resolution that was proposed by the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police back in 2008. And in that resolution, they made some very focused recommendations that I believe over the preceding 15 years could have prevented a lot of the violence that our communities have faced at the hands of violent repeat offenders who continue to use firearms in the commission of violent offenses.
Well, if we look at the record of the alleged person that committed the crime on Constable Priscilla, we look at that, you would think as a layperson, once again, just from my perspective, that person would not be out, and especially and then missing different appearances. He was supposed to be in court, and since September, and have this tragic outcome in December. Those must break your heart.
It does break my heart and the heart of Greg's family, his friends, and his colleagues. And I think overwhelmingly we're seeing and hearing from Canadians that those types of decisions, those types of conditions that are not abided by are just not going to be tolerated by the general public anymore, who are living in fear in some communities because these repeat violent offenders continue to commit crimes, putting them at risk.
So where does law and justice intersect then to ensure that this isn't going to continue? What's the next step to make sure that this changes?
That's a great question, and I think, progress is on its way. We saw all of the premiers coming together, uniting, asking for consideration from the federal government. I know there are ministers from the federal government that are now engaging in roundtable discussions with justice sector partners, and these are all very important steps. We need to see legislative change. We can't wait another 15 years. This needs to happen now. It needs to happen expeditiously. And it is my hope that this momentum will continue, and in the very short term, we will see some very focused but meaningful change that will create a safer environment for our officers and our citizens.
But why do judges, in your opinion, let somebody out that has had all of these violent attacks or use of firearms? Why are those people being released into the public?
It's built into the legislation, the fundamental principles on what must be considered by a justice as it relates to bail. It's built into policies as it relates to how the bail process is administered by prosecutors, and these things need to change. There are some very focused recommendations, one starting with making sure it's a superior court or provincial court judge that sits over bail hearings and makes the decision. They've got a higher degree of education, more experience. They actually will oversee firearms trials, and that more weight be given to a history of convictions for violent offenses utilizing firearms. Some very practical solutions that I believe will make Canada a much safer place for all of us.
Well, I mean, Commissioner, we see people that have committed blue-collar crimes, not that that's a good thing, but they've committed blue-collar crimes that have served longer sentences that people have committed violent acts.
Yeah, we see a variety of things that do cause us a great amount of concern, and I think the most significant thing that as police leaders we're united in asking for across this country is that more weight, appropriate weight, be given to those factors that put communities at risk and put victims at risk of being re-victimized. And I think the one thing that does not get the appropriate amount of weight is the Canadian Victim Bill of Rights. And right in the Canadian Victim Bill of Rights, there are assurances that are to be guaranteed to victims that during the prosecution of charges that have been laid, that we must take into consideration their ongoing safety. These things need to be given the proper weight to ensure the safety and security of Canada.
And how does this all play into, obviously the Liberals have got some gun registry laws coming down. We know there's been some deliberations about that today even. How does it all play into what's happening at the federal level in terms of gun laws?
I think there is a nexus for any further consideration as it relates to where government is going to go with their interest in protecting Canadians from illicit firearms, crime guns that are coming up from the United States and making themselves into our communities and being used for the perpetration of violent crime. That is certainly an important component of it, but we really need laser focus on the bail system and reforming the bail system as it relates to repeat violent offenders who continue to use firearms to victimize innocent people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when we think about someone like yourself, Commissioner, such an important role, you've got 5,500 officers under your view, and this is such a challenging time to have a role like yours. How do you keep moving forward, keep doing all of this, but also, have that sort of emotional intelligence with your officers when it comes to something that has been so hard on them? What do you say to them as a leader? Are you vulnerable with them, Commissioner?
I think every police officer in this country is currently vulnerable. When we see the number of police deaths that have happened in the last quarter of 2022, it's extremely concerning. It's appalling. Police officers are unique individuals. They are the select few that put their physical safety at risk. They compromise their psychological well-being. They risk not being there to be a part of a family that they love dearly each and every day as they go out and face the dangers associated to policing. And they need to be guaranteed a framework of protection that comes through having appropriate legislation that is applied to keep them and the community safe. And I think every police officer who wears a uniform and carries a badge, they do it because it's something that is within them. And although this is discouraging, although it can create some increased anxiety, they still remain driven. They have a sense of responsibility and duty. They're extremely proud, and they want to make sure that our communities are as safe as they can be. But they need to know that their leaders are behind them, and that I specifically will be advocating for the change that is absolutely necessary and long overdue.
And Commissioner, other than this important issue that we're talking about today, that stricter bail condition, what else keeps you up at night?
What else keeps me up at night? I think it's just the overall sense of responsibility. My primary job is to ensure that my officers are safe, that they are secure, that they are physically and psychologically safe and looked after and supported. And that is an enormous responsibility, because every citizen of this country relies on their local police officers for their safety, security, freedom, and the well-being of their community.
It's a big job, Commissioner. Thank you for everything you do. And I think any one of us here in Ontario that took a picture, took a look at that picture of Constable Pierschella and saw that what an incredible human he was, aside from his work in policing. He just strove to always be the best. If even in his memory that each and every one of us in Ontario can do something today to send the message to government officials that there has to be a change, how would you want us to do that?
I think it's, everybody coming together and expressing their desire for what they feel is going to create a safe and secure community in their local neighborhoods, and the standard of policing and the types of laws that will ensure that they have that level of safety and security. It takes everybody who has a responsibility for leadership to do what they can do to make the necessary change. This is an opportunity for our country to be united. Regardless, this is a nonpartisan issue. This is about community safety, and I think we should all be on the same page, all be pushing in the same direction, and all with a sense of responsibility, ensuring that the change happens.
And what message do you have for violent offenders that are out on ridiculous bail conditions?
Well, we will continue to do our job as police officers and do our best to ensure that repeat violent offenders are abiding by their conditions, and where they are not, they will face the consequences of the law. But it's also a reminder to anyone who is out on a bail condition, ultimately and primarily, you are the one responsible. You entered into an undertaking with the court. You are responsible for abiding by those conditions. You will have a surety, and those sureties too need to take responsibility and be held accountable. They have made a guarantee to the courts that those that they have taken responsibility for will abide by those conditions. So when they are not, it is my expectation that the surety will report that non-compliance to the police.
Such an important message today, Commissioner. And I'm thinking today, on such a chilly day here in the capital, I'm thinking about your officers that would be in those little tiny towns in northern Ontario and serving the community. And those jobs can be thankless at times. But please know that we do appreciate everything that the OPP does for this province.
Thank you so much, Sam. That will make a world of difference to every one of our officers who are out there doing their job for the love of community. Knowing that they are appreciated is what keeps them going. So thank you.
Keep up the great work, Commissioner. We'll talk again. Commissioner Thomas Carrique joining us today from the OPP, an important topic for sure. There's been some heavy topics today. Important topics. We've talked about MAID. We've talked about those bail conditions. We talked a little bit about the gun registry and the laws that are going to be affected there in terms of the Liberal government. I think we need a little chill. Well, we're going to do that with the one and only Keith Whittier. He's our movie reviewer. He's going to find out how we can entertain ourselves on this chilly weekend. Stay with us on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Un Chef, prendiamo un café. Let's grab a coffee and a sweet treat, a tiramisu. Salut!
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, my life changed forever. During the pandemic, all of our lives changed, and many of us turned to alcohol and drugs to cope. As life returns to normal, the increase in substance use from COVID has lingered, and some police services report an increase in impaired driving that caused heartbreak and devastation. Now, more than ever, we need your commitment to never drive impaired, and to encourage all of your family and friends to do the same. Together, we can save lives.
Hey folks, it's me, Giovanni Patini, the host of the RTV quiz show, the hottest show on television. It's the hilarious quiz show where you, the viewers, play for valuable non-existent prizes. It's got great trivia, fun facts, and a lot of laughs, all blended together in a perfect cocktail of edutainment. So join us Wednesdays at 7:30 right here on Rogers TV. Nice.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Little brown girl, don't.
Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Okay, you put on the fireplace, you grab whoever you want to hang out with, and you want to watch something this weekend on this very chilly weekend. We wanted to spend some time today with Keith Whittier. Are you keeping warm, my friend?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm probably due for my second hot chocolate anytime now. So
There you go. There you go. Keith, of course, is a movie reviewer. And if we want to keep it nice and warm this weekend and watch something fantastic, you've got lots for us. We're going to start with Knock at the Cabin.
My name's Leonard. Well, it's nice to meet you, Will.
Why are you here?
I suppose I'm here to make friends with you. And your dad's too. But my heart is broken.
Why is it broken?
Because of what I have to do today.
You do this to me about once a week, Keith. So so tell me about this one. I'm beside myself in here in the studio.
Yeah, so Knock at the Cabin is the latest film from M. Night Shyamalan, of course, the man behind movies like The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable. And it's based on a book called The Cabin at the End of the World. It was a horror book, and the movie translates as well. So basically, we've got this couple, Eric and Andrew, played by Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge, and they're hanging out with their daughter at this cottage, and they're just minding their own business when these four mysterious strangers, led by Dave Bautista, show up and basically are telling them that they need to make a decision, and if not, there's going to be, it's going to be the end of the world. Like, literally, it's going to be the apocalypse. So it's a very interesting film with a lot of, like, different themes. Now, I find anytime we're discussing an M. Night Shyamalan film, it isn't about so much who's acting in it, although I will say Dave Bautista is very good as he transitions well from wrestling to the big screen, but it's more so about the story that M. Night Shyamalan's telling. I don't think that this is going to be remembered as one of his great films. I definitely don't think it's a terrible movie by any means, but at the end of the movie, I was kind of left scratching my head thinking to myself, well, they didn't explain that, and they didn't really, thread the needle all the way through with this particular point. There's some very tense, dramatic moments, but I don't think the payoff is there the way we've seen it in many of his other films. So I'm not saying not to see it. I'm saying, is it worth rushing out in minus 40-degree weather to see? Probably not. You might want to wait for it to show up on a streaming service.
Okay,
but I don't think by any means that it's a terrible film. I just don't know that it's one that warrants frostbite.
You have reminded me, though. I think I'm due to see The Sixth Sense again.
Yeah,
so
great
there you
movie.
go. There you go.
Great movie.
Okay, next on your list is BTS Yet to Come in cinemas. Okay, the only reason I know who BTS is because I have a 15-year-old daughter. That's the only reason.
Fair enough.
So talk to me about this one.
Sam, I was late to the BTS party. They've been around for years. I've seen the covers, as I'm sure you have, of the different magazines, just going through grocery stores and what have you. I started listening to the music last year, and I'm in. Now, here's the thing. This is an event that they're playing, I think, for like a week, maybe two, at Cineplex and Landmark. And you think to yourself, okay, they're playing the concert on the big screen, no big deal. Here's the thing, though. Went to see it the other night. I think it was Wednesday night. The theater was packed. And I don't mean just packed with respectfully with, like, people your daughter's age. We're seeing little girls all the way up to grandparents, everything in between. And people are invested. I'm talking like cheering, dancing, screaming out their names. I didn't want to be the one to say they can't hear you, but it was very passionate, and I love seeing that. So this is a concert that they did. I want to say late 2022 that they're bringing to the big screen. You could look at it as a money-making opportunity, sure, but I mean, all these movies really are to some point. But I think it's entertaining. I think seeing an audience that really transcends age and what have you is fun to see, especially in a time when the majority of the movies that I go to, like Knock at the Cabin, there was maybe 10 people in the theater. This one was full. So I think that's pretty exciting to talk about. So for those people who are fans of BTS or just want to check out their music, BTS Yet to Come in cinemas is playing at least for the next week, and I definitely think it's worth checking out.
Okay, there you go. And you keep yourself warm by, dancing in the aisle. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go. Okay, next is 80 for Brady.
Game's about to start. Oh, there's Tom. Oh, what a beautiful man.
I like Gronkowski. We know, Trish. We've all read your Gronk erotica.
It's not erotica. It's fan fiction. Very sexy fan fiction. Aren't you tired of the same old boring lives? Let's go to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is no place for 4 old women. This could be Tom's last one. He's almost 40. That's like 80 in people years. Yeah, we're 80 in people years.
I just really need this trip.
Okay, I'm laughing way too hard at that trailer.
I know, it is so good. I saw it last Saturday. So just to paint the picture for you, it's a Saturday afternoon, went to the theater. The theater was packed. Now, again, kind of like we were talking with BTS, again, you're all over the place with from an age standpoint. But when you hear the name Tom Brady, it's kind of polarizing because some people are big fans, some people aren't. Some people are showing up in the Tom Brady jersey. Here's what I would say. Regardless of how you feel about him, it isn't really, even though he's a central point in the film, I think this is really a story of friendship. We've got 4 icons in this movie. We've got Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, Rita Moreno, and Sally Field. They're 4 lifelong friends in the film who are big New England Patriots fans. They have an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, and they're excited to head down, and all of the shenanigans and hilarity ensues. They had me in the first 10 minutes of this film because they're getting together at one of their houses, and they're watching the game. They have all these pregame rituals and superstitions, and I'm thinking, that's me. I have so many superstitions when I'm watching a Manchester City game, so I get it. This is a lot of fun. We don't tend to see a lot of movies that are led by a cast of people of a certain age, and that's a shame because this just works. Everybody was laughing, having a good time. If there's a movie that you're going to go and check out in the theater this weekend, with all due respect to the BTS fans, which is, again, a great showing in itself, 80 for Brady is definitely worth it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think it does exactly what you want in a movie in terms of just escaping for a while and having fun and being entertained. And I was very, very impressed with this film.
I'm wondering if we're going to finish this segment before my mother texts me asking me when we're going to this movie. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, next one is Infinity Pool.
I've been waiting 6 years for your second book. Is it coming out soon?
I'm working on it. What do you do for money then?
You married rich.
I actually came here looking for inspiration.
Mr. James Foster, you'll have to come with us.
Wowzers. Okay, tell me about this one.
So this is the one that is probably going to keep you up at night. So Infinity Pool just got its release. I saw it through my coverage of the Sundance Film Festival, and it's about this wealthy couple that go off to this fictitious resort. And unfortunately, driving at night, not being able to see, somebody ends up getting killed. So the police are very corrupt, and they basically say, well, you can spend the rest of your life in jail, or we can kill you, or you can pay us a lot of money, and then we're going to clone you, and then we're going to kill your clone. So it's a very bizarro type of thing. Now, it kind of opens the world to this whole hedonistic tourism that's being perpetrated in this film. Now, what you need to know is this is by writer-director Brendan Cronenberg, son of David Cronenberg, which has to be respectfully probably one of the weirdest dinner tables to sit by because they do not make what I would call cookie-cutter movies. This is not going to be a film that's going to appeal to a lot of people, and I appreciate that. But at the same token, it doesn't make it a bad film. That being said, I would probably wait for it to come out on a streaming service before rushing out to the theater to see it. The breakout performance in this is Mia Goth, who just continues to be fantastic in everything that she's in. She comes across as very nice in any sort of interview, but every performance that she's in just gets more and more twisted. Again, Infinity Pool, it's a decent film, not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but again, not every movie is, but definitely worth checking out, but probably on a streaming service.
Okay, good to know. Keith, you always do such a great job. What would we do without you?
Well, let's hope we never find out.
Absolutely. There you go. Keith Whittier. Absolutely. Keith Whittier joining us, of course, movie reviewer. And I'm going to be booking my tickets for 80 for Brady today. Keith, thanks so much. Appreciate your time. Keith joins us here every Friday to talk about all things movies. We appreciate it very much. We're getting ready for a very busy lunch. I've invited 2 mayors to the table today. Mayor of Smiths Falls, Mayor of Renfrew. It's going to be a great chat. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
Everybody knows not to drink and drive. Some people still think it's okay to take drugs and drive. Police have the authority, the ability, and the tools to determine if drivers are impaired by legal or illegal drugs. And because drug-impaired drivers can pose just as great a risk as drunk drivers, they face the same penalties, like the loss of their driver's license, a criminal record, fines, and more. A message from the RCMP, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
Hi, I'm Julian Armour from Music and Beyond. Join us for a new show this spring on Rogers called Music and Beyond Presents.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Friday, February 3rd. Good afternoon. I am Damilola Onime. Right now in Ottawa, minus 27 feels like minus 42. In Smiths Falls, it is minus 26 and feels like minus 38. And here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. The frigid conditions have caused a bit of a shake-up to the outdoor activities at Winterlude today. Melanie Brotz, the Director of Capital Celebrations and Programs Operations at Canadian Heritage, tells us they've made the decision to postpone or cancel all the outdoor activities. But all the indoor ones are still on for you to check out.
The winter jazz that's going to be happening at the Arts Court. Tomorrow, RCMP has a musical ride stable, so you can actually tour their facilities and meet their horses. And I know that you can also stay warm at Aberdeen Pavilion over at Lansdowne Park. They have a retro roller disco that's happening all weekend long. So that's really family friendly and gives you the opportunity to stay warm and get moving.
Winterlude runs until February 20 at various locations around Ottawa and Gatineau. For a full list of what's open and closed at Winterlude today and the rest of the month, head to canada.ca/Canadian Heritage. With the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
Incredibly cold temperatures today. We will hang on to this extreme cold warning through the day and night, and even for part of tomorrow as well. It's the second part of Saturday where temperatures start to stabilize, but we are hanging on to a wind chill in the minus 30s and minus 40s throughout the day and night, and then again early Saturday. The winds are also quite gusty. We will be mainly sunny for the day. Overnight lows tonight near minus 31. The guaranteed high reached this morning minus 16.
City News Time, 12:03. The work to remove those massive snowbanks on residential streets is ongoing, but it has frustrated many in the downtown core. City News reporter Chris Curry is with more from the mayor.
Those snowbanks are higher than most cars, and they take up a lot of space downtown, but many are frustrated that it's taken so long to remove them from outside their homes.
There are always going to be residents who want to see higher levels of service, and we're looking at that and reviewing it. And I know that, we can't get everywhere. There's a limited amount of equipment. Obviously, there's a fixed amount of equipment. We can always buy more, but that's not going to happen overnight.
Mayor Mark Sutcliffe says crews working their hardest, and the city is reviewing to make sure they have the proper resources in place. He says they are listening to the community to make sure priority areas are addressed. Chris Curry's City News.
I am Damilola Onime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, we were thinking, who could we invite to lunch on a Friday? And we thought, well, two mayors would be fantastic, and we've invited Mayor Sean Panko from Smiths Falls to join us. Hello, Mayor.
Hi, Sam. How are you doing there?
Good. Are you keeping nice and warm in Smiths Falls?
Indoors, yes. Outside, yeah, not so warm.
Not so warm. Well, we'll find out how warm it is in Renfrew. Mayor Tom Sidney's joining us. Hello, Mayor.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How chilly is it in Renfrew today?
It's minus 41 right now outside, so it's pretty balmy out there.
Okay, that is chilly for sure. Thanks so much for spending time with us. And let me ask you kind of a silly question. Do you two know each other? Have you met before?
No, I don't believe we have.
Well, we're changing that today. We're having lunch today, and hopefully you can be connected. We really appreciate both of you are so generous to come on City News and talk about your beautiful communities. I know you had both attended ROMA, of course, the Rural Ontario Mayors meeting with a number of ministers and various officials in the province. How was that for you, Mayor Panko?
Always a great experience, and many times at Roma or ABLE in the past, we've had delegation requests with ministers, either individually for the town or part of the county or part of the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus. We didn't this time, so I had more opportunity to attend the various plenary sessions and to try and catch up on some educational opportunities, to try and learn what's happening elsewhere, to try and bring some ideas back to my community.
Excellent.
So always a good experience.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I know, Mayor Sidney, this was your first opportunity to attend as mayor of Renfrew. What was that lens like for you?
It was fantastic. We had the opportunity to have 5 delegations with 5 different ministers, which was a great experience and a great opportunity for us to connect face to face and have open dialogue with the ministers. So it was a great experience.
I don't want to make any assumptions, but I would think that some of the issues that you both face are very similar in terms of, the infrastructure pieces that you might be looking for from the province. You have a lot of people that might be thinking about, your different towns in terms of living there and all of the different, housing issues that you face. What were some of your top issues, Mayor Panko?
Well, of course, we're all familiar with Bill 23 and the concerns that the impact that has on all municipalities in Ontario. And we were hoping to hear maybe some news that things had potential changes that we would all be thrilled with, but of course that didn't happen. Overall, we generally seek funding opportunities from the province. We're always eager to hear about new things that may be coming out, and at this stage, we saw a rollback in our OMPF funding this year into our Municipal Partnership Fund of about $116,000. So that was another challenge we face and balance in our budget with any new infrastructure funding. We've had great success in the last 5-6 years with funding requests, and very fortunate to be able to complete a lot of key infrastructure work with that funding. But we're really dependent on the province and the feds to try to make sure we can deal with the infrastructure deficits we have. And like Smiths Falls and Renfrew, all municipalities are facing significant challenges that way, because a lot of our infrastructure is all constructed around the same time. And we can't do it alone.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Are you feeling the same way, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. We, like the mayor said, our infrastructure is quite aged. We have some pipes in the ground that are 100 years old. So we're definitely always looking for ways to work with the province and have the province work with the feds to help us out. We're a small community, and we need to help all the help we can get. And it was excellent to be able to. We met with the Minister of Transportation just to make sure that the 417 is going to continue to expand up to Renfrew, which will begin in 2026. So we're great to hear that. But we need the connecting links funding to finish our roads and stuff like that. So we definitely had the opportunity to voice our concerns and make sure that we want to make sure that they do municipal modernization funding, and we have some issues with our clean water, our drinking water in the spring, and when it gets to a drought, we have a manganese problem. So we were talking to the Minister of Environment about that, so we can get that resolved and fixed for our residents.
Mm-hmm. And Sean, let me ask you: is it hard to get the attention of Queen's Park? You think about, sort of bigger cities like Ottawa, of course, Toronto, Windsor, London, Hamilton. Those types of municipalities have a lot of demands on the province as well. Is it hard to sort of put your hand up and say, hey, don't forget about Smiths Falls?
We've been very fortunate, I would say, both with the previous Liberal government and the current Conservative government. Anytime we've made a request to meet with a minister, it's generally been granted. And even through the pandemic, we had numerous meetings via Zoom. We seem to be able to get the audience. We've got good connections at the provincial levels. Having Steve Clark next door in the next door riding, it's always been very beneficial. He's always been very supportive of Smith Falls. And when we had no MPP for a while there through the pandemic, we were able to lean on Mr. Clark, and he was very helpful. And we're very fortunate now to have John Jordan in place, and John's working very hard at developing relationships across Queen's Park. So we've been very fortunate, and that has led to success for a lot of funding applications over the years, and a lot of lobbying efforts that have paid off. So I think we're grateful that at Queen's Park, they are listening. The smaller municipalities are willing to step up and provide that audience and that time and to make sure that we're heard.
Mm-hmm. And when we think about meetings with ministers and all of the different pieces that you talked about, is it all about funding, Mayor Sidney? Is it all about the envelope that would be allocated to Renfrew, or are there other sort of items or other issues that you're asking the province to step up and help with?
I wouldn't say it was asking for help with. We did do a lot of discussion on Renfrew has a very great municipal collaborations with our neighboring townships. So we were able to highlight the ministers on that and how it saves money, and then how we're trying to continue that and strengthen those relationships with our neighbors so that we can collaborate on different things. We have a great I guess you'd say contract with Greater Madawaska, which is the Calbogie area, where we lend our chief building official and planner as they're super busy. So we're able to do that, and we work with Empire and their pool and stuff like that. So we were just able to really highlight the great partnerships we have with our townships, and that the ministries really seem to be heading in that direction. So they were happy to do that.
And Mayor Pankow, is it all about funding for you, or are there other things like these collaborations that Mayor Sidney was referring to?
Funding frequently, but other things, again, expressing our concerns regarding Bill 23 or other things in the past. The other one we've been very active on, of course, relates to cannabis, and with Canopy Growth still being our largest employer, we want to try to ensure that the legal cannabis market in Canada has an opportunity to thrive and succeed. And we have a lot of jobs on the line in our community that are still connected to that facility. And so trying to get, numerous times we've spoken to the provincial ministers about potential regulatory changes that would enable the cannabis industry to get closer to being at par with the alcohol industry in Canada. From our perspective, there should be interchangeable, and the landscape that's available for consumption of alcohol should be the same for cannabis, or cannabis should be the same as alcohol. So we've been fortunate to have the audience in years past. We haven't seen the regulatory changes we're seeking yet, but we won't stop until we get what we need.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to tell you, I really appreciate you both joining us. We're going to take a short break and come back. We're having lunch today on City News with Mayor Sean Pankow from Smiths Falls and Mayor Tom Sidney from Renfrew. We are feasting on some of those important topics to those Valley mayors. Stay with us here on Rogers TV and City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Un Chef, prendiamo un café. Let's grab a coffee and a sweet treat, a tiramisu. Salut!
Sometimes, for a wish to come true, it takes a kingdom, because together is stronger. Tied tight, united we stand, in honor of one child's wish, to fuel the fire that will grant many more. Join the kingdom.
We were born in Canada. We spoke English. On the streets, we weren't welcome. But on the field, we were the Asahi. Vancouver's champions. Everyone cheered for us. Our people had a voice. Then Canada declared war on Japan. They took us from our homes, called us enemies, forced us into camps. But we brought the game with us. Baseball helped get us through the internment.
The Vancouver Asahi were among the 22,000 Japanese Canadians interned during the Second World War. The team never played another game.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Little brown girl, Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, what is better than one mayor? Well, of course, it's two mayors. Mayor Tom Sidney from Renfrew is joining us again, and Mayor Sean Panko from Smiths Falls. Lots of great discussions today in regards to the rural areas. You know, you've seen, Tom, people decide to move to the beautiful community of Renfrew through the pandemic. They can work from anywhere in the world. They choose Renfrew. Do you feel like you have enough support from the province for this type of sort of boom, if you will?
I think we could always use more. We have good relationships with the province and the ministers and stuff like that. But I think with the pandemic, one of the things that we're finding is, with the pandemic inflation, increases in costs and everything, we're really hoping that both the province and the federal government are going to, look at the funding stuff and maybe add 10%. That's what we were talking about Aroma. They need to help us out in that part with, we have a major project going on that started just before the pandemic with our second ice pad, new recreation center, gymnasium, and our partnership with the Montreal Algonquins with their cultural center. And steel alone was up over $3 million from budget, just steel alone. So we really need the province and the feds to recognize that the pandemic has definitely hurt small communities. It's hurt every community, actually, and recognize that there needs to be a little bit more funds put towards projects so that it doesn't hit the taxpayers as hard as it potentially can. So, we're looking forward to the growth of Renfrew, but at the same time, we do need that support and understanding and recognition that, it has definitely impacted our small communities, and I'm sure the mayor of Smith Falls would agree that we need that extra little bit of cash to offset the ratepayers.
It's definitely been a challenging time, Mayor Panko, and we talked recently about that bridge as well that you've had to make some tough decisions on. Were you looking for a little bit more from the province for infrastructure as well?
Well, there's always point. There's never enough, and like Renfrew, we are growing in ways we've never grown before. We had twice as many new home starts last year as we had for 2 decades, from 96 to 2016. So we're feeling that pressure, and I think the opportunity that the province has, I think, especially with so much forecasted immigration, is all these smaller communities still have capacity to build. We still have available land to build. We still, in many cases, have capacity in our water-based water. And if the province would maybe better enable development in these areas, then I think we could ensure that we can help soak up some of that pressure that the big cities are feeling from a building standpoint. We don't have problems getting things built, but we still have the infrastructure we have to manage. And as more people come online, more people move into our communities, it puts pressure on the existing assets we have. And our biggest need would be replacing that, as to Tom's point, those 100-year-old pipes that are in the ground. And we're in the process of replacing a 99-year-old water tower. And the maximum funding we could get from that from both federal and provincial governments was about $3.6 million. And the pre-pandemic price for that was about $8 million total, and it's probably going to be higher than that. So it leaves a real heavy burden on our existing tax base. And so without the support from the federal and provincial governments, it's very difficult for us to do what we need to do on our own. And the other big piece, of course, is affordable housing. And we look mostly to the federal government for that. We have numerous people in our community who can't afford to live here anymore. And that's like elsewhere. We need to ensure that the support is there, provincially and federally, to ensure people have an affordable place to live.
Such an important conversation. And Mayor Sidney, let me ask you, where are you in the budget process?
We are pretty much ready to go and bring it to council. I think it's coming to council in March. And it's a difficult thing to work with, trying to foresee what we need and what we're going to anticipate. But we're doing good. We're somewhat pleased with it. We might have a little bit more cuts to make, but we're trying not to cut any services and stuff like that, and keep it, with the high level of service that we expect and our ratepayers want. So we're definitely going through it with a fine-tooth comb, and we'll get there.
Locally here in the capital, of course, Mayor Mark Sutcliffe ran on not going over 2.5%. Mayor Panko, what are your goals for Smith Falls?
Well, I think as of the past Monday, I think we're pretty much set for our budget. 2022, we had no increase. We had 0% increase. We've actually hit 2 years earlier, I think, 0%. This year, it's going to be about 3.38% increase, and that really relates to the inflationary factors. And our operating budget is up 9%, and we haven't had that experience anywhere before. And part of that is just the cost of everything we do is more expensive. And part of it, as a growing community, we have to make sure our staff is properly resourced. We're adding a couple more positions. So you factor all that together, it creates a bigger burden. And so the fact that we have such an increase in the operating side, we're fortunate we have growth, which has enabled us to mitigate that increase down. But we're also sensitive to realities that our residents are all feeling the pinch as well with inflation. So even 3.38 will be somewhat painful for some. But at the same time, I think we've got almost $19 million of capital work, and it's important that we continue to do all the infrastructure work that's so critically important, not just replacing what's there in the past, but continue to invest in the community to make sure we have those quality of life amenities that will, support our current citizens and continue to attract people to move here.
Mm-hmm. And what are you hoping for, Mayor Sidney, in terms of your taxes? Are your taxes going up in Renfrew?
Yes, they will be going up. We're trying to keep them under 5% right at the moment. My goal would be to have it in the high 3%, low 4s. But again, it all comes back to the inflation and the projects that we have, shovel ready to go starting in the spring that we were fortunate enough to get funding for it, but it's usually a one-third. So, we have to come up with that couple of $1 million, and we have other projects on the go as well, and trying to finalize the Mattaway expansion and get it open, scheduled for June. So there is going to be an impact, and I think it's just everybody, like we've been talking about, everybody's feeling it. We're just trying to do the best we can and work with our neighbors and our member of parliament, provincial parliaments to try to keep it as low as we can.
Absolutely, and Mayor Pankow, I'm going to give you a chance here to brag about Smiths Falls and try and get us to your beautiful little town there. Give us a sense of what's happening in the winter and what you're looking forward to in the summer.
Well, we're pretty snowed in right now, but nonetheless, our staff do a great job of even keeping trails and park space open to a great extent. Our rink is busy through the winter, of course, with a rink through 2 ice pads with hockey tournaments and minor hockey, and we're maybe not doing the same things we've done in some winters past with regard to a festival. We don't go with a carnival planned right at this stage. But for the summer, we're a lot to look forward to. Again, we got beautiful park space. We are the home of Laprade. Many people might be familiar with Laprade, and they're up to 30 cruisers now, and it's a great opportunity for people to rent that. People from all over the world to come to Smiths Falls to rent a boat and enjoy an incredible experience in the Rediscovering Canal. Our station theater's got a full lineup of events this year. Ted Marionette Bridge, Clockwork Mysteries, our local illusionists will be back in there performing this summer, along with a lot of other great local entertainment and other entertainment coming in. A lot of musical things being planned right now. We've got our Railing Museum, which had more visitors last year than any point in time in its history. Very highly utilized. We've got the opportunity for overnights in the caboose. People want an opportunity to have a unique experience that is there. Our Heritage Museum has got all kinds of programming going, so we're really looking forward to this snow melting sometime soon, not soon enough probably, and the opportunity to get out and enjoy our outdoors more, and looking forward to a wonderful summer.
And I know that Mayor Sidney, you have lots to brag about even for this weekend.
Yeah, we did the opening ceremony of the Ontario Winter Games last night in a blizzard snow squall.
Wow!
But yeah, we're really fortunate to have a lot going on this weekend and next weekend with the Winter Games. So that's exciting. There was about 3,000 people in our town last night, so it was exciting to see the busyness of it. So we're really looking forward to those.
For sure, because you can all huddle together and keep warm. So that's fantastic. Listen, I really enjoy my time with both of you, and I'm trying to think of a midway point where you two could actually meet for lunch. But that would be fun for you guys to get to know each other more, and I appreciate the time you've both given me today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
Always a pleasure to spend time with you both. Mayor Sean Pankow from Smiths Falls, Mayor Tom Sidney from Renfrew. Fantastic lunch today. We're so happy to have that opportunity to talk to all of our friends in the Valley. Well, it is the business lunch coming up after this quick news break on City News. I know you'll be here. Stay with us, everyone.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
I'm Wendell Clark with a word about winning. We all know it takes a team effort in any sport and with any challenge. You can be a part of the winning team that shuts out impaired driving. Whether you're out on the town or just hanging out with friends, drink responsibly. Always have a plan for a safe ride home for yourself, your family, and your friends. You'll be helping to shut out impaired driving.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober. Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the Community Billboard.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 101.1 everywhere.
It is Friday, February 3rd. Good afternoon. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, minus 27 feels like minus 42. In Smiths Falls, minus 27 feels like minus 40. And here's what's making news right now. Extreme cold warnings remain in place for Ottawa, Smiths Falls, and much of the province, also in Quebec, in Manitoba, and Atlantic Canada, with wind chill temperatures of minus 40 expected today into tomorrow. City News weather specialist Denise Andreachi says to expect wind chill values to remain in the minus 40 range for the rest of the day and into Saturday. Environment Canada warning that the frigid conditions could cause frostbite to develop on any exposed skin in minutes, so be sure to layer up and stay indoors if you can. Shelters like the Shepherd of Good Hope and the Ottawa Mission are doing extra rounds to make sure no one is stuck outside today and also tomorrow. And they're also providing extra winter gear to people who need them. And you may see a large number of military vehicles on provincial highways this weekend. DND says there is nothing to worry about. They're just conducting convoy trainings. The convoy training will take place on stretches of Highway Ottawa to Petawawa, Ottawa through to Kingston, and Trenton to Hamilton. Motorists are advised to exercise caution around the convoys. City News Time, 12:32. I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, we love talking about all things business. We're going to be talking about all things Air France when we come back in a little bit, when we have a conversation with Krista Keeley. But we wanted to start today with Louis Belland, Executive Director for Eastern Ontario Agri-food Network. Hello, Louis.
Good afternoon.
It's wonderful to spend time with you. This is such an interesting story to me. So my understanding is you're hoping to sort of bring a little bit of a taste of Eastern Ontario. Tell us how you're going to do this.
Through blind ambition, I suppose. I've traveled quite a bit across the world, and all these places, you get those kind of magical feelings of peace, of wonder, of, just amazement at what exists out there. And I grew up in Eastern Ontario, rural community, and flat roads and cornfields. And after traveling the world so much and coming back, you kind of have that feeling, okay, well, what's here? And truth be told, you really take advantage of things that you grow up with to a certain degree. So I kind of made it my goal, my mission to rediscover home. That's kind of been my motto for the past decade or so. Rediscovering home, and so when a position opened up at the Agri-food Network, it's kind of like the perfect vehicle, because that's what we are in Eastern Ontario. We are agri-food. That's the wonder, the amazement that's in this area. So hopefully I can make people discover that.
And when you think about home, similar to maybe we think about Italy for pasta, what do you think about when you think about home?
You know what? There's so much variety in terms of small producers here in Eastern Ontario. The first thing that comes to mind is garlic. We have hundreds of garlic growers in Eastern Ontario, and some of this garlic even won prizes worldwide for the quality and taste. So it's one little example. We have so many vegetable growers. We have so many producers that raise meat, poultry, whatever. It's all here. We have everything.
And of course, I'm always thinking about maple syrup. Is that wrong of me, Louis?
It's not wrong at all.
Okay, perfect.
We have this ongoing. I have to mention we have this ongoing project where we're trying to launch the International Culinary Trail, which would be the first international culinary trail in the world, and it's a partnership between Eastern Ontario, Western Quebec, New York, and Vermont. And every time we have meetings, or almost every time we have meetings, it's the maple syrup is a bit of the joke of who has the best maple syrup, and of course we do.
Right, of course we do. Yes.
Yeah.
Tell them to call me. I'll vouch. And when we think about just this opportunity to really showcase what's happening here, is this for foodies or people that even desire to be a foodie?
That's exactly right. There's, especially with the pandemic, I think we as a society have kind of reevaluated where we stand on a lot of things, and food being such an important one. There's already this movement to buy more local, to source more local, to enjoy the things you have locally a little bit more. And I think this new brand will help people discover that in the sense that we're going to be launching a new website at the end of March. And that website is designed around getting the consumers, the people, whether they're residents or tourists, doesn't matter, getting the people to the producers as quickly as possible, and getting them to discover the producers and who's behind it and their story and their passion. Honestly, it's about shared passion. So yes, foodies. And
excellent. And when you're meeting with everybody, do they tease you about poutine?
Technically, Eastern Ontario has the capital of poutine here, and Alfred.
There you go. See?
They have 4 different poutine places at the moment.
Wow. That's incredible. It really is amazing to me to sort of, and the idea really was to think about different areas of the world and what do we taste like here, if you will, in terms of food. And it's something I really never thought about, but as you sort of, share all these different layers of things that are available in this region, it is it's actually overwhelming to think about how many people are in this industry even.
Yeah, you know what? I read numbers the other day, and I might be misquoting these, but in terms of on a national scale, the agri-food industry represents something like $134 billion in 2021. It's a ludicrous number, and employs 1 in 9 people in Canada. So yes, a lot of people, and I do want to go back to something you said, and it's about that identity, and places like Niagara-on-the-Lake are known for their wine. You think of them and it's wine, but what happens is you have all those producers that tend to see themselves as part of that community. They're not out there just trying to promote their own business, but they're there trying to promote the entire community, and that brand exists. And that's what we didn't have in Eastern Ontario. You have these small producers that are out there working really hard to promote themselves. But if Savor East Ontario can come in and kind of create that sense of identity, that sense of community, that all the local producers can rally behind, then that can be something really powerful.
For sure, absolutely. If someone's listening and they're thinking, hey, I want to know more, I want to get involved somehow, how would they do that, Louis?
Oh, well, we're in transition right now, so I apologize. But they can join the mailing list. Even though Savor East Ontario website is not live yet, we do have a newsletter going out once a month under that brand. And in that newsletter, we have features on our producers, we have videos, we have all sorts of stuff. All the content that's going to be on the website basically is going out at the moment. And so people can subscribe to the newsletter. They can do that through our current website, and again, I apologize for that website. It's a work in progress, but that's available at
sorry, I'm French. agro-on.ca.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And, I think we should have you back on when everything's up and ready, okay?
I'd love to. Thanks for the time.
Thanks so much. Louis Balan joining us today, Executive Director for Eastern Ontario Agri-food Network. So I have to tell you, I'm taking a painting class. Did I tell you this, Noah?
No, you did it, and you're taking a painting class?
I'm taking a painting class, and it's in Manotick.
Okay, is it like oil painting?
It's oil painting.
Wow.
And so first of all, I'm just going to say, I am not an artist.
I was going to ask, have you ever painted before? I've never heard.
Never.
Okay.
So this was basically just my desire of 2023 to kind of just do things, a little bit slower, maybe take a little bit of time to myself. So last night, I am so excited to go to my painting class, and I go by myself. My daughter went the week before. She wasn't up to it last night, so I went by myself. Had the time of my life. It's a lovely group of women that all get together and do this in the basement of a church.
Wow, okay.
So I came out, and I was, all excited, and of course I opened up the doors, and I was the first person to leave. And I thought, oh no, we're actually having a really bad weather. And Denise Andriacci, our weather specialist, of course, advised us of this.
She did let us know.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get on the road. It's going to be fine. No problem.
What time were you leaving?
So this was about 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And I've been driving for a very long time. So I'm a pretty confident driver.
Yeah.
So I get on the road and I head down the main street of Manotick, and I turn left onto Bankfield.
Right.
Immediately, I realize this is going to be treacherous. It was like driving while looking through pudding.
Oh my God!
I can't even describe
there's all those
to you.
Fields, right? I'm guessing it was just blowing across. Yeah.
So it was okay. So there was a few houses, of course, sort of Bankfield to Prince of Wales. It was okay. As soon as I sort of went past the 416 and headed onto Brophy, which is a continuation of Bankfield, and got to Moody. It was not good. I will say it was very, 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 very treacherous.
Yeah, it sounds scary.
And unfortunately, there was a vehicle that had a trailer behind it that had gone into the ditch, and I couldn't even stop to help. No, you know me. I would stop to help if I could.
Always.
I was so petrified to get hit myself. So I kept going. I called 911. They sent somebody
with
to
the low
help.
visibility, you made the right call there. You don't want to stop.
So I kept thinking to myself, I just need to get to Eagleson.
Right.
So I see the flashing light. If anyone's ever been at Brophy and Eagleson, they know what I'm talking about. I see the flashing light. I'm like, okay, I'm there. I turn right onto Eagleson into Richmond, and I have never experienced anything like that in my life. It was like everything went black.
Oh my God.
And there was so much snow. There hadn't been plows there. I'm not complaining. Just that was the reality.
Yeah, the point of it.
So it was very, very, very treacherous. So made my way to Ottawa. Went from Ottawa Street onto McBean. When I got to your point, when I got past those farmer fields. But I just wanted, one of the reasons I'm sharing this story today is it was very treacherous, very scary. But it also was a very important conversation to have about the farmers that do leave some of those corn crops.
Yeah.
I love every single one of them today because it did make a difference.
100%, right?
And so I just wanted to give a big shout out to those farmers that leave a bit of that corn crop so that it allows some of that, blowing and squalling not to happen.
You heard it first here. Rural Ottawa farmers, you saved our host.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful. Got home, few tears, and then I got myself together and walked in and spent time with my family.
Well, I'm happy. And I got to know, now you've got to show me your incredible painting skills. So
no.
Am I getting an oil painting?
That is not the point of this story at all. Noah, thanks so much. When we come back, Krista Keeley's going to be here. She is joining us from the Ottawa Airport Authority. She's got some very exciting news. Might be a little bit of a voyage in your future. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Chef, prendiamo un caffè. Let's grab a coffee and a sweet treat, a tiramisu. Salut!
I'm Derek Fage, and I encourage you to join me each and every weekday at 2 p.m. for an edition of Daytime Ottawa. We will share with you some fabulous stories, inspirational stories, and of course, recipes from local chefs. We'll tell you about some wonderful musical performances, introduce you to local businesses and charities, and so much more. Join us here on Daytime Ottawa at 2 p.m. weekdays with repeats at 6 and 11 p.m.
For 25 years, you've been helping to make our roads safer by doing the right thing. You've been the designated driver, you've stayed over, called home, you've called a cab or a friend, and planned ahead. Let's keep doing the right thing. Support sober driving by getting yourself and your friends home safely.
Do the right thing.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Once upon a time, in a nursery rhyme, there were 3 bears. 1, 2, 3 bears. And they went a-walking in the cool woods a-talking while their porridge began.
Rogers TV invites you to let your imagination roam as we present Ottawa Storytellers. Each week we'll present a collection of original creative stories and inspirations for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers on Rogers TV.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Little brown girl, Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with us here on the Business Lunch on City News. We wanted to welcome Krista Keeley to the show today. Bonjour, Krista.
Bonjour, Sam. Ça va bien?
Exactly. We're talking all things France today because Air France has made some very exciting news in the last couple of days. Of course, Krista is the VP of Communications and Public Affairs with Ottawa International Airport Authority. Tell us the good news, Krista.
Well, yesterday we were quite delighted that Air France announced that they were going to be starting a brand new non-stop route between YOW and Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport. So this is amazing news for our community, and we can't wait to get started on June 27th.
I might have squealed when I heard the news because I went to Paris in 2018 and in 2022, and of course I had to take connecting flights, right? And this is very good news. It's good news from a business perspective, but also, of course, a tourism perspective, Krista.
Absolutely, and that's why we were so thankful that we had so much support from the tourism community, including Ottawa Tourism, Tourisme Outaouais, and Destination Canada, who all got behind us. And of course, the business community is very, very excited. We've been talking to the Ottawa Board of Trade, the Chambre de Commerce de Gatineau, and Invest Ottawa and others who are very excited that their members will be able to travel nonstop between Canada's capital and the City of Lights.
And it's so amazing not only to spend time, of course, in Paris, but being the gateway to Europe and heading to anywhere after that, which is always the fun part of European travel. And Krista, when you think about that first flight, June 27th, the timing is really good because I know so many people take their families to Europe like I did last year to really discover everything European.
absolutely. It's going to be a fantastic summer. And to your point about being the gateway, we're really fortunate that the hours of the flights, which it's going to operate 5 days a week, so Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we've got a really great departure time at just after 5 o'clock, which means that the flight will get into Charles de Gaulle bright and early at 6:15 in the morning, and that hits their bank of connections. So even if that family travel in the summer isn't strictly to Paris, you know, the world is your oyster from there. There's so many different connection points that people can reach. So we're just thrilled. This is going to fit into our operation so beautifully, and the community's just been asking since we started our recovery when we're going to have a nonstop to Europe again. So I hope they're all happy, and it's really, really important that the community rallies behind this flight, because as with any air service, if it doesn't get used, if you don't use it, you lose it. So we're really hoping that this kind of excitement that we've been hearing over the past 2 days translates into some tickets.
Well, Krista, I should really do my part, right? And book a flight.
I really wish you would.
I should do that. It's really this, you know, there's so much good news. Every time I spoke with you in the last couple of months, it's just so different than those conversations we had during the pandemic. And it feels almost, dare I say, normal.
Well, we do have a ways to go, but our recovery is definitely happening. You know, we're on pace to hopefully get back to our pre-pandemic levels by 2024. So that's really encouraging. Our route map is growing. We've had some fantastic news with Porter. They started their new jet service from Ottawa this week as well. So it's really been a great couple of days to share news with the community about the great things that are happening in YOW. And what happens with us means really amazing economic news for the community as well. So I think it's really great all the way around.
And of course, I'm only looking at it from the perspective of us going to Paris, but it also, you know, to the point of the tourism, you know, Paris and Europe coming to us as well. Being in between Montreal and Toronto, sometimes people forget about the capital, and we don't want that.
We don't want that for sure, and people have become very accustomed to getting in their car and driving to one of those airports to have a nonstop flight rather than connecting. But every time somebody does that, we lose that data point. So it artificially inflates the other airports' passenger volumes, and it really, really downplays ours because it doesn't catch that point of departure accurately. So we're really hoping that this makes a difference and that people will fly Ottawa first and show that support for our local airport. And in terms of inbound tourism, it's really amazing. We have a francophone community here, so it's a natural fit with tourists from Paris. So we're quite looking forward to it as our partners in tourism.
For sure. I travel a lot, as you know, Krista. I love our airport. I think it's beautiful. It's airy. It's, you know, it's got just enough in terms of food options, and I think you've done a beautiful job there of making sure that when people do arrive here in Ottawa, they feel really welcome, and it's a beautiful stop to the capital.
Well, we have a ways to go for our recovery, as I said, and that includes with some of our facilities, and food and beverage outlets are particularly hard hit with staffing issues. But we know that our concession partners are working very, very hard to make sure that they have their amenities available for our departing and arriving passengers. So we're a work in progress, but we're getting there. Everybody is very focused on providing the best experience they possibly can for every passenger and visitor who enters our door.
Well, fantastic. Great news today about Air France and the opportunity for people to fly directly to Paris from this beautiful capital. Keep the good news coming, Krista.
I will do my best.
Okay, sounds great. Krista Keeley, VP of Communications and Public Affairs with the Ottawa International Airport Authority. She's fantastic to come on and spend time with us. We wanted to spend some time as well today with Stephen Lecce, CEO of Canada's Great Kitchen Party. Hi, Stephen.
Good morning, Sam.
Okay, you have to be the CEO of the best thing ever. That's a great title. How did you get that, Stephen?
I actually, if you can believe, I founded this back in 2004 as a partnership with the Vancouver Olympic Committee. And at that time, we looked at bringing all the chefs across Canada together in some sort of fashion, and what was born as the Canadian Culinary Championships We launched it in 2006.
Well, that's fantastic. And how can we participate in the Capitol?
Well, I've got to say that Capitol has been an incredible host. This is our second time here in the Capitol. And we had a big party last night at the Fairmont Chateau, which was beautiful. And the mayor spoke, and all 9 chefs from across Canada had a chance to show up and really show who they were in their conversations and such. Our first event is tonight. It's at the Shaw Center. We held back 30 tickets for tonight, and this is a wine pairing event where all the chefs are given a small amount of money. They have a bottle of wine. They don't know what it is, and they have to create a dish for 300 guests. Both the Black Box tomorrow, which is the really tough one in the morning at Algonquin College, and tomorrow night is sold out. But there are rooms tonight.
Well, it looks fantastic, and I see you have one of my favorites, of course, Jim Cuddy, performing on the 4th. Tell us about this.
Yeah, Jim's playing tomorrow night with his 2 sons and with Ann Lindsay. It's going to be a tremendous show. Jim's been, for our program, Jim has been our national entertainment advisor for 16 years. So we've worked really closely with Jim, but this is the first time Jim has performed at one of our Ottawa events, so we're really thrilled about that.
Well, Ottawa loves Jim Cuddy, and I know we love our food as well. I'm seeing Brianna Kim of Alice here talking a little bit about the fact that she's one of the chefs. Talk to me a little bit about Brianna.
Oh, Brianna's amazing. This is the second time that Brianna's competed, and I've just got to say that Brianna is bringing in something that is so unique from a vegetarian standpoint, and in a world where there is not that many chefs that are at the gold level bringing in the vegetarian component. We are super fans of Brianna in Alice Restaurant, so she's representing Ottawa very, very well.
Well, and she's the only woman I noticed as well.
Yeah, she is.
That's fantastic. That's great. Well, I wish you all the best, Stephen, in terms of this event, and I hope everybody enjoys themselves, and we have you back again.
Thanks, Sam. And hey, if anybody wants to join, I know it's cold outside, but it's really warm and toasty inside. If you wanted to come to the event tonight, you can go to greatkitchenparty.com. As I say, we held back 30 rush tickets, so we would love to have anybody who would love to come out tonight.
Oh, I think we've inspired somebody, Stephen. They're going to pick up the phone or get you on the internet there and make sure they get those tickets.
All right. Thanks, Sam. Be well.
Thank you. Stephen
Stay warm.
Leckie.
Bye.
Yes, you too, Stephen. Stephen Leckie joining us, CEO of Canada's Great Kitchen Party. That sounds like a lot of fun. We've talked about a lot of things today. This week has been very busy here on the Sam Laprade Show. A big thank you to Noah and Aaron. What would I do without you two? Appreciate everything they do for this show every single day. But we couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much for tuning in to City News. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay warm. We'll chat with you on Monday. Lock it in to City News.
You've been listening to the Sam Laprade Show.
Tune in again for local news and community views on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.